Damn, starting a cool 950. Oh my god, shut up. Boom, 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 boom. God, someone, they are ringing the bells non-stop. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. They must have been ringing them for like 5 minutes. Hello, Scouty, Pause, and Tebba. Oh my god, shut up. Christ almighty, they do not stop. Oh, shut up. Fucking hell. Morning. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm just raging over some bells. Oh, God, shut up. This is so annoying. I'm actually riled up today. Thank God, no debates. Yeah, I mean, I was literally just, if you want like a little bit of information, like obviously the reason I'm doing these, I don't know what this is with YouTube. Since I started streaming on Twitch, basically, even though I would say I'm doing like, I don't know, a lot of you seem to be becoming members, supporting and shit. It kind of feels like I've just been a bit stuck, and especially around revenue related stuff, it just seems to have gone down so much. The thing bringing it back is the debates, and I know people don't always love them, but like combining TikTok gifts with these Twitch and YouTube, that's the reason I'm doing them. I know not everyone likes them, but yeah. But they won't be every day, don't worry. They won't be every day. Sup, Chris? Sad day to be a Colombian when the country has gone through a massive earthquake. I know, I was going to make a TikTok about that. TikTok, yeah, I need to do a bit of TikTok stuff. Oh, my hands are just, ugh, they're covered in I don't know if any of you have ever noticed this, but if you look at my elbows, they're fucking insane. Like, if you look at them, they're so dry. And I think it's from sitting here in part, but yeah. But no, get that bag. Well, I wish it was like a massive bag. I'm just doing it to like keep it going at this point. But it's, to be fair, last month was good. Like, it went pretty well. Yeah, I need to work on a lot of like media content creation though. But yeah, I was looking at the new like debate thing that's on, the thing that all the Zionists do, and they only ever get other Zionists on there. And I could get some of the more competent Zionist debaters ish on there. It's called You Mingle, and I was looking at how it works, and it's fucking crazy. But yeah, you can't even go on if you don't show your face. So I think that's how they prevent it from becoming like an issue. But yeah, moisturize with a urea-based thing. I moisturize with like nice stuff. And I can just not engage and watch, and they're great for engagement, but they're so good for engagement that I can't look away. No, I know, I appreciate this, and don't worry, like I'm not, So are you considering going to the doctor? Why would I go to the doctor? It's fine. I just need to moisturize them every day. They're just gross. Like, they're just kind of gross. Hello, constituents. Hello, everyone. Also, I'm just frustrated. Also, I don't know if I'll talk about this much on stream because I'm not enough of an expert. Have any of you seen what's going on in Libya? It's fucking insane. Someone assassinated, like, the Minister of the Interior in Libya last night, and someone has blown up 3 oil refineries in the country, and no one seems to have any information as to who did it. Like, no, you can go look this up. No source will give you any information about it. Any at all. But yeah, I was also just looking at the comments on my debate with Maddie, and some people are like, oh, I can't get through this. Some people are like, I can get through it. I really like this. But the truth is, it's like, look, I've probably gained about 250 subscribers in the last few days. Like, I'm growing the channel. To be honest, the Twitch is growing really well. It's just because I'm not partner on there, they just don't really give me any money, and I can't make partner because I restream on there. It's really fucking annoying. It's like a never-ending cycle. But I almost thought it was a lotion bottle. No. What are you telling me? That's a water bottle, but I almost thought it was a lotion bottle. No. I'm just getting it off so it doesn't drip all over me. And then I get wet. Also, I'll tell you one thing that I'm absolutely fucking dreading about streaming. I have to stream today. I'm probably going to stream tomorrow and the day after. And the weather is fucking miserable. The weather is 33 degrees or some bullshit. And I don't want to fucking stream. Well, it's not that I don't want to stream. I do want to stream. I just don't want to stream when it's 32 degrees. But what am I going to do? I'll tell you one thing, it's actually easier debating when it's really hot than it is like doing a stream where you have to think about it. So I'm kind of glad I've got it for then, like as in the debates will be then. I also think one of the things that I want to do is have do the stuff where like if there's a news thing, people can come up and chat like about that news thing. Obviously within reason. I'm not discussing like insane fucking conspiracy theories. The more you grow, the more you'll have people like or dislike things, so you don't know, so I don't know. No, the only comment that I don't and I'm sure some of you appreciate this, is like the volume and getting unhinged. Maddie is a horrible person who, if you don't tell Maddie to be quiet, she will just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. And so it's like hard to kind of keep it together, but I didn't let that happen yesterday with the annoying Zionist guy, so I'm going to try and get better at that as well, because I don't normally rewatch my debate performances. Also, I hate this. Right, we're going to do the Wordle because we keep forgetting to do it, and I do actually enjoy the Wordle. Obviously, fuck the New York crimes. Okay, right. Speaking of, we'll start with crime. Oh, it has a C. Oh, techie. Okay, thinking of something that ends in E. C-E. No way is that actually a... Is bunts a word? Bunts? Sans? So what the fuck? So it ends in NCE. Is it dunce? Is that the only real word I can think of? Is that the only word it can be? I can't believe it allowed nonce. I cannot believe it allowed nonce, to be honest. Hi, Chris, and hi, Best Chat. Thank you so much for streams today. I just ordered Finkelstein's new book, Gaza's Gravediggers, and I hope it will be very good. It gets released in September in my country, so I have to wait a little longer. We maybe have time to take a look at a video I found on Algeria about the political structure and the different branches in Iran. Potentially, yeah. I kind of want to talk about something related to Iran today, which is like the change in power. It could be dance. It's either going to be dunce. Oh, it's not either. Vance? Well, that's his name. Lance. It's Lance, I think. What? Cents? Pence? Is it pence as in a small amount of money? Fence? Is it fence? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. That was awful. That was awful. Awful, awful. I don't know what became of the Streamlabs bot on Twitch. I don't know why it doesn't work on Twitch specifically. No, a nonce refers to a pedophile in the UK. It couldn't have been chance because it didn't start with C. And that's also 6 letters. Also, I'm going to try and not pee as much today. It couldn't have had an I. That was a sucky one. Also, did you guys see that Bashar al-Assad was sentenced to death today? In absentia, though, so obviously nothing's going to come of it. In the horrible Trotskyist app known as Discord. Does it work? Shut up! I'm not even gonna... my thing's offline right now, my Discord. Discord has this funny feature for some reason where it's hard to turn on. I don't know why. I like, literally, I'm unsure as to why. Also, I was talking about... one of the goated clips, the greatest Chris Kunstler clip of all time, was a clip which I actually assume that a lot of you have not ended up seeing. Because I... that have not ended up seeing, because it was during a gaming... It was during gaming. I'll show you it. It's one of the funniest clips of when I interact with a German person. Where is it? Here it is. Hold on. I love this clip. I was watching it the other day. I was watching it earlier today. Wait,
I
got
met
like.
on
I might actually. Oh wait, I can just instantly share this as a portrait clip. Hold on. Unexpected based gamer. This is one of my favorite games. Wait, how do I make it full screen?
You got like Israel
over there in Germany, don't you?
Bro, that country, I don't want to get banned, but I despise that country. If I ever get an Imperial Titan, I will wipe that planet off, I will wipe this country off the earth, and I will say, for Britain! It's what Churchill would have wanted.
I'm actually going to put this
like Israel
over there. I'm going to put this on my TikTok and Instagram of me interacting with a new friend that I met on the internet. My goat plays Deadlock and Dota 2. I do play Deadlock a bit. I don't even want to talk about Dota at the moment. It's so repugnantly bad. I got up to Ancient 5 and then it sucked. No, this guy was based. I don't think he was actually German. He just started talking about, yeah. Also, was he talking about what is an Imperial Titan? Is it a thing from Warhammer? Is it the like big church things? Guys, someone who's like smart enough to theorycraft or like does power scaling stuff, do you think an Imperial Titan could destroy Israel? I mean, it has like a full-on church on its head. Like, this surely could defeat Israel. Like, they couldn't blow that up with an F-15, right? Surely not. Could it destroy Israel if you had an Imperial Titan? Is that plausible? But is it plausible that you could destroy it? Do you think it would destroy Israel? To be honest, one nuke and it falls. Yeah, but what if it got nuked? Could it destroy Israel? I don't know. Do you know who probably could? Hello, Grok. In theory, could an Imperial Titan destroy Israel? I'm just asking my friend a couple of questions. Oh my god, in theory. So, Grok has confirmed it. While a Titan can erase every square kilometer in a casual stroll, it still moves oh my god. It's yes. So yes, an Imperial could in theory. That's just, oh my god. Guys, so that guy was correct in his thoughts. Wow. By the way, this is not an endorsement of destroying Israel, YouTube. It's me theory crafting. I'm interested in power scaling. It's like when someone asked, like, could bad thing happen if Thanos snapped? Okay. OMG, it can. Yes. I've also been, something I got really interested in have any of you seen that Israel is like on a drive to manipulate AI? It's not working in the UK at least. Like any time. So I checked a couple of things, things that you'd expect Israel to have manipulated. And maybe some of you in Germany should check this because that's probably the place it's getting manipulated the most, okay? But anyway, if you ask like ChatGPT or Grok, was there famine in Gaza? Both of them will say yeah. But I mean, it's almost inescapable, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do eventually prevent that from even doing any of it, like being able to recognize any of it. Oh my god. Wait, I've been talking about how, like, I was struggling with content. Maybe I can just ask AI to write me scripts about whether things from the 40k universe could destroy Israel. Could Grok defeat Goku defeat Netanyahu in a fight? No. Netanyahu has evil powers. I saw Biden's little idiot son talking about this. Context of this YouTube Shorts animation. I enjoy painting it. I haven't painted in a little bit, but I do really enjoy painting it so I don't look at a screen. It's just something that I really enjoy. Okay, right, let's do this. Nose. Tung 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 Sahur. Hayes, hello. The AI companies are owned by the tech oligarchs who also support Israel. Yeah, I guess, but the thing is just I'm not sure how they, like, I hear that they're going to do it, and Israel is trying to manipulate AI, but they're not doing it very successfully as of yet. I don't think it's a tongue Sahur reference. In the US, it's funny because Google's AI is clearly programmed to run defense for Israel. Just yesterday, I looked up, did Israel sterilize a large portion of Ethiopian women? I don't think that's just, I think that article is actually not like a massive, those articles don't suggest that it was like a massive campaign. I believe it did happen, but it's not like a thing I looked into much. Going once, sold. Oh, it's auction stuff. Nice. Very clever. Wait, what's the other one? What's the other auction one? Going once, sold twice. Yes, there it is. Nice. Things you'd hear at an auction. Sunk. Done. Tongue. Toast. Through. I was wondering if this is like words close to... No. Bravo. Toast. Bet. Done? No. I don't think it's necessarily... Oh. I'll look at it from this out. So this is from the Journal of International Ethiopian Studies. Let's see what they say. To Ethiopian women of coercing them. While data had been collected on the administration's tri-monthly injections, which suppresses ovulation since at least within days of firestorm of media discussions, although not always depicted as such, the Israel is clearly a subset of a much larger international debate concerning the use of Depo among impoverished individuals. The Gates Foundation, blah, 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 blah. Beyond the controversy, the Israeli case also connects, while a comprehensive report of the administration of the injections has not been published yet, there seems to be a little question that around 2005 there was a dramatic rise in the number of prescriptions for the injections, and that by 2012 57% of those receiving the injections were Ethiopian Israelis, who make up only about 2%. Since the use of these injections seems largely have been confined to recent arrivals, their relatives, blah 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 blah. Interesting. You are probably right. It is words that sound the same. That wasn't actually the clearest as an explanation, but yeah. Can I do the scrandle? Oh, I don't really care for it. Yes, wait. Done, toast, history, sunk. All words for, like, collapsed. Oh, no. Through? Oh, no. Tongue, hair, eye, and you said it was the other one? USA. Through. Ah, fuck. Toast sunk through history? No. No. So you think it's nose, toast through tongue? No, I don't know what it was. Doomed, sunk through toast. Bet, bravo. Oh, you did actually say that. That would have been helpful if I'd listened. Facial features, eye, hair, tongue. Oh well, fuck it. You guys gave me it, but I wasn't gonna get it, so. Have you seen the game where you rate foods and snacks? Yeah, it's Scrandle. People ask me to play it, but I'm not so sure I like it that much. I enjoyed that history game we played. Oh, wait, what's it called? Wiki Trivia. We can do that, actually. This one's quite good. Gorilla's first album is released. Don Quixote is published. That's like 1700s? Princess Leia first appears. Well, that's obviously it's like 70s. McDonald's is founded is somewhere back here. Qin Shi Huang. Jin Shi Huang becomes Emperor of China. That has to be back there. Abraj al-Bayt is completed. Building complex. Okay, that's hit. Oh my god. Zand, Iran is established. That's like there? Or there? I feel like The Lion and the Sun came later, but I don't know when that is. Oof. I don't know. Fuck the New York Times. Apologize to Parenti. What did the New York Times do to Parenti? Oh, does anyone know when Zand, Iran is established? Because part of me thinks it's like here, but then also it could be there. I'm going to go there. Yeah, I knew it was later on. Cleopatra dies. Well, this one's so dumb. It tells you when she dies. She died in like around 30 BCE. Assembly language is created. Programming or computer language. There? No, there. Linux Mint is released. Here? Oh, fuck. That was shit. Okay, I'll do this Scrandle. I'll do the Scrandle daily of what I think looks better, okay? So Scrandle is where you choose what you think is better. So here you have a butterfly, a sugar crumble pastry that was free, or a pork crackling fried egg rice. That's probably pretty good if it's in Brazil. Unknown location, fried chicken with blue cheese dip and glowing Red Bull vodka. Fish and chips, £3.70. Well, I guess if you're getting a coconut Red Bull vodka for that price, it's not that bad, but that's still pretty expensive. So I guess the fish and chips, because that's so expensive for what it is. Chicken tacos, bratwurst. I mean, yeah, I'm taking this. The chicken tacos is way cheaper and better. Well, it's way better priced. Loaded chicken nachos, chili chips, Village Manchester Football Club. I bet that's shit. That looks pretty decent, but it's £13.80 for some nachos. That looks like much better, but I don't know. Yeah, it's just the price. Would you you know what, those chips are probably shit. So I'll take it. We're doing pretty well today. Ooh. I don't know what a lachmanun churro filled with caramel for £1.20 in Brazil. Yeah. But that looks pretty good. I don't know what a lachmakun. Oh, it's like that, I do know what it is. It's like that pizza thing with mince on top, which I do kind of like. It's pretty fucking good. But I don't know what I'd give that. I'm sure that's great, but it's £7.75. I feel like people would go with that because it's £1.70 for a churro. I don't know what to go for. Covering the food on the right sometimes. Okay, I'll move myself to the top. Ooh. I'm gonna go with the churro for £1.70. It's £1.20. It's so cheap. Pie mash and liquor looks gross. Fuck that. I don't even want to try pie mash and liquor. It looks like semen. It's disgusting. Chicago style chicken gyrosh and chips. My girlfriend was telling me it's not gyrosh, but I don't care. I mean, I think that's a better deal. It looks a lot better than the USA hot dog for £10.80 for some shit hot dog. Oh, that looks awful. The cheesy chips look but the steak pie mash and gravy looks awful. I also hate mushy peas. I really hate mushy peas. So I don't even know if I'd want this, but it looks better than that. And they're like the same price. Do some people just skip it? I can't even eat curry. Oh, but I mean, I'm gonna have to click the curry because I'd be very ill if I ate that curry. But that burger is disgusting. I can't eat curry, so I'm allergic to it. £6.70 for a mac and cheese or barbecue pulled pork and chips. I mean, the sort of sludge looks like magma in the center, but it's definitely better than this. Of affordability. It's also just what you're paying for it. This looks, can you go with none? I don't think you can go with none. I mean, this would be better for the price. Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Oh, look at that. Oh. Sorry, the Fluminense burger looks awful. I mean, pepperoni roll, that is disgusting. Brazil, you've outdone yourselves there. So I got 10 out of 10. I did pretty well today. So British, you can't eat curry. I can't eat curry because I have an allergy to it. I have an allergy to fenugreek, which is common amongst people that have a peanut allergy, apparently. But yes, I can't. Yeah. Am I just too Canadian because this doesn't seem expensive? Well, you've got to remember that that's pretty much double the price of in Canada. So also, I think that some of that's a lie, but some of that's Brazilian. But in Canada, all of your food would be, so that would be like $10 if it was for like £5. Oh, fucking Guinness is disgusting. I hate it. And also, saying it tastes watery is insane, by the way. Saying Guinness tastes watery is just... Ugh. It's not watery, it's far too thick. I love authentic British food, like Chinese or pizza. Chinese-speaking girlfriend. Girlfriend. Big brown eyes. That's a banger, the song that says that. Sorry, I just got sent an insane fucking video. Look at the title of this video. How do I explain I'm a Muslim to people in a Canada, heart, Israel, high-fiving hands, blue eye, peace dove, necklace, star, moon, scientist, river kind of way, not an Iran explosion, Palestine hijab, angry kind of way. What is this? What, sorry? I don't hate Guinness. Well, I do hate Guinness. It's not the kind of beer that I like. I much prefer lager or pale ale, I'm going to be honest. Those are praying hands. They're actually high-fiving, I think, as opposed to paying hands. Peroni is what old Italian dudes drink here. Peroni's great if it's, like, ice-cold, but if it's not ice-cold, it fucking sucks. God, I mean, just finding out that people, I don't know. By the way, actually, what you were describing there is genuinely what the UAE tries to sell its vision of what it actually is, but also they just genocide Sudanese people. So, yeah, we got a little bit about that. By the way, if anyone's looking to learn stuff about the UAE, the Financial Times is running fantastic pieces. Well, this one was a bit shitty, I'm going to be honest, and a lot of this is thieved from people who've written better pieces, but that's how it always works. It says 20 years ago, the UAE was at the center of an international political firestorm. Basically, they tried to buy a port in the US and they were like, no, terrorists can't own a port. And they tried to change it. But this is actually lifted from another person's article in the sense of another article I read began exactly this way about how the UAE sold itself. Not to say this person lifted everything, but it's just kind of a basic one. But the other two that the Financial Times have are A New Middle East, which is the UAE's bold gambit on Iran. I'd highly recommend that. And I'd recommend the other one if you're looking for base level knowledge. Just didn't really interest me because I know a bit more. And Expansion into the UAE's imperial push into Africa. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm sure you guys can get access to these. They are brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'd highly recommend you guys checking them out. I'm sure you can get access. There was a Native American woman who was in the IOF and oh god, I've seen that. Stouts are just grim. The US had Al Qaeda in the White House. I know, incredible. They had a Shara, didn't they? They had, yeah, Shara was there, but Shara's no longer in Al Qaeda. He's great now. He's a good man with a nice heart. Can you post the link? Yeah, Financial Times, UAE. I'll post a link to one of them, and then through this you can find all the others. They have like a little thing in. You need to you either have to need to pay for the Financial Times. Oh wait, I just sent it on. I was wondering. I was like, what the fuck? I just sent it on YouTube and it came out. But I'd highly recommend it. I'd highly recommend these if you want to learn a base about the UAE. It's really, really, really good. Speaking of, there are a couple of things I wanted to talk about with the UAE. I don't know if any of you saw this. I kind of missed it, but. Basically, actually, we'll talk about what's going on in the UK right now. So one of the leader of Dubai, so the leader of the Emirate of the Dubai Labubu Circle, is actually in the UK right now. Sheikh Maktoum. He's in the UAE. No, sorry, he's in the Sudanese man. He's in the UK. He's in London. Here you go. This is the video. And someone pointed out that the Emiratis come to the UK and the first thing they do is check out. The malls here because the Emiratis love the damn mall.
Stop killing Sudanese. Emirat and UAE, they're killing Sudanese people. UAE is killing my people in my country. Stop killing my people. Emiratis, you're killing my people. I'm Sudan. You're killing my people.
By the way, the only thing is this guy is not really. This guy is not really. Like, Dubai is involved in the gold aspect of thievery from Sudan, but generally it's more Abu Dhabi than it is Labubu capital.
People, you piece of shit. Fuck you, fuck your people. Motherfucker, black bitch. You said black. Shut the fuck up. You said black. Shut the fuck up.
Then they find some Emirati guy who's just confronting him and telling him fuck your people, which is obviously disgusting. You know, thousands, scores of Sudanese people are dead.
You're killing my people in my country. You're killing Sudanese in my country. Stop killing Sudanese. Emirat and UAE, they're killing Sudanese people. They're killing my people in my country. Party, UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed, they're killing my people in my country.
Based. Some of you have been asking about Woke 1.0. I guess we can talk a bit about the Woke 1.0, 2.0 discourse, but I mean, the thing is about the Woke 1.0, Woke 2.0 discourse is I don't really care. Like, if Woke 2.0 is just supporting Palestine, then that's a good aspect of it, but like what's really fundamentally changed? What's fundamentally changed is about this. What's fundamentally changed? Like, it feels like a lot of the same stuff and problems of the first iteration of it are still here. Do you know of Sangeeta Maiska, a former... I do. We can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I guess it's just broad, the concept of Woke 1.0 versus Woke 2.0. I don't know. Someone would have to explain to me the definition of what Woke 1.0 is and what Woke 2.0 is. If there's someone you want to listen to, I guess it's someone who's better placed. I haven't really been keeping up with this discourse. I haven't been on Twitter as much recently. I've started tweeting out a couple of things, but yeah, Woke 1.0. I saw Sean DeBlack was getting pretty mad about this.
Hines.
Um, to be fair, the people he's arguing with, I'd be mad if I was interacting with fucking Ryan Grim. By the way, I'm not dismissing what Sean DeBlack is saying. Woke 1.0, what are the liberals up to? I mean, it's kind of funny that the broad online left has still not acknowledged that a thing called cancel culture ever existed, but is willing to now acknowledge that, yeah, it was crazy and we should move on. Not complaining, I'll take it, but it's funny. What is he talking about? Here we go. Wait. Woke 2 is just saying slurs and crying about anti-white racism, and all the cowards being afraid to call it out when it's their favourite journo or dark woke commander doing it. Oh, it's also support defence contractors because they say healthcare. Can't forget about that one. I kind of assume that Woke 2.0 was now focusing attention on a few specific issues rather than the whole shebang. The point to convince people of the merits of left politics without initially repelling them. I don't know how to explain intersectionality to older people set in their ways. What specific issue would that be? And who gets to decide what issues are centred? Because it's not like the police brutality issues that was central to the Woke 1 time was fixed. And I'd venture... I guess that is... I can see why someone like Sean DeBlack is mad, as in saying that, like, you know, being dismissive out of hand if you think about what actually constituted the concept of Woke 1.0, which was much more focused on specifically police violence in America. But Woke 2.0 has been more focused on the manifestation, which has clearly gone up during the second Trump administration, which is punishment and brutality against immigrants and people who are, you know, people who support immigrants. There wasn't a Woke 1. This was fighting for rights. There isn't a Woke 2. That's what I kind of agree with you, Crystal. I don't fucking know what this sort of means, like this Woke 1 2.0 thing. Like, when does Woke 1 begin? Are we talking like post-Trump? Because I think that the same problem of woke... I would say if there's a definitive issue, it would be, but I think that this is probably just cyclical in American politics, right? Which is kind of the thing of, well, you know, Biden, a lot of people during Woke 1, if you want to call it that, if it's like 2016 to 2020, and this isn't actually speaking about what Sean DeBlack is speaking about, but a lot of kind of like libs, particularly white libs during this time, were literally just like, get Trump out of power, and that's it. Get Trump out of power and then it's over. All we need to do is just have no Trump and then it's fine. The second cycle has just been more opposition to the Democrats, really. Woke 1 never really achieved anything. That's the issue. They never really got any meaningful prison reform. That's not really gone away, and I think that that's a charge that you could level against Woke 2.0 as well. I guess the thing that is one of the things about Woke 2.0, if that really is a thing, is... Palestine has transcended totally the boundaries of politics in the sense of, like, there are now tons of right-wingers who are fighting, who are, like, against Israel. If that's what Woke 2.0 is, if it's largely something to do with Israel. But I don't fucking know. I don't know what constitutes Woke 1.0 and 2.0. If someone can easily define what Woke 1.0 and 2.0 is... contain things like defund the police, which has now been... sure, Mosin, you can... if someone sends me the link. Is anyone here a Woke 3.0 developer? Yeah, I'm working on Woke 3.0. In Woke 3.0, you won't be allowed to do anything that I don't say is okay. I've read some of Junie the Terrace's message. Is there any way I can pull up your message history? Hold on. You've sent more than 900 messages, Junie. Hold on. Okay. The discourse is essentially people have abandoned black people in the track for liberation. People have dropped the ball on abolition of the carceral imprisonment system, on ICE and concentration camps and mass deportations. Do you think that that's a major feature? I'd say the stuff like the stuff about mass imprisonment camps. Oh, hold on. On Discord. I'd say people are more on the ICE concentration camps thing, even though they pre-existed, but I know what you mean about black liberation related stuff. It was also abandoning women and trans people and disabled and queer people. It's also capitulation to the right-wing narratives and misappropriation of the term woke. Thank you, FitTT. Okay, I have my thoughts here. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I don't think everyone has necessarily abandoned that, but yeah. Two things about this topic. It's very online language, and you have to be that to understand what's talked about to begin with. Two, it's very American discourse, and it does not really make sense to translate it to British or European context. Yeah, it does feel like it's a very online discourse, but I guess if what Shonda Black is like talking about is someone like Ryan Grimm, who like Ryan Grimm maybe would be considered part of Woke 2.0. In fact, this actually does feel very pointed at Ryan Grimm, specifically like talking about Dark Woke Commander, and then it's talking about him crying about you know, anti-white racism, DEI, affirmative action, and now cancel culture. Welcome back, Charlie Kirk. But no, I just, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Not sure about what. Zoran put out a statement a few months ago telling people to comply with ICE. They can't even do Woke 2.0 right. I'm a post-woke decolonial constructivist. Nice. Is more Kyle Kalinske, isn't it? I don't know if Kyle Kalinske... I mean, the Graham Plattner stuff is the only fucked up thing I've seen Kyle Kalinske doing. Maybe one might make an argument that calling Nancy Mace the B word is sort of something that not everyone would do. But the tweet is, you know, it's the one about her eating loads of beans. Africans and Romani. A lot of this would factor in as well under white supremacist patriarchal systems. I don't disagree with you on that, but I think people are talking about that, have done this, tried to denounce Woke One. Yeah, actually, Novara Media are so guilty of that. Aaron Bastani is an interesting character. I like No Justice MTG. I know someone else in here likes her. She seems nice and she interacts with me. I think she seems like a lovely character. But yeah, Aaron Bastani, I regularly see him tweeting things that are like, what is this man talking about? I don't know. I really don't know. I've never read his book as well, Fully Automated Luxury Communism, and nor do I ever plan to read Fully Automated Luxury Capitalism. Oh, sorry, you sent me a Fetterman impression.
The senator from Pennsylvania.
Oh, it has music on. I'm not doing that. Please don't send links that have music on. Carl posted a caricature of a disabled... That's true, actually. You're right about that. I forgot about that. Sells communist... No, Novara was okay for some time, then they became annoying. I'm also worried about Palestine being forgotten. I mean, yeah, like, people just aren't talking about the West Bank and stuff, and said she'd be keen to collab with you. Yeah, maybe I should collab with No Justice MTG and have, like, her on to talk about British politics, because I do like talking about British politics. Aaron Bastani, nah, occasionally go listen to what Bastani says, and it's like just go listen to Bastani occasionally. He says just iffy shit. I don't even know how to say it. Like, he is just occasionally says stuff that is like, okay, this is really iffy stuff. But then again, I'm just not like haven't viewed enough of their stuff. I guess maybe it's a bit of a spite within me as well. I kind of just sometimes find like the media bubble in the UK just to be more annoying. I think some of the independent stuff is more interesting, you know, like, or more independent stuff. And I think that there are people trying to do different stuff. But I think when it comes to people like, you know, Novara and people like that, they're all in a bubble. And also, you know, yeah, like people just in this specific bubble, you know. what's your opinion on Tom Nicholas? He makes good videos, but I don't really know what he's like talking about generally, like about international politics, which is much more my area of expertise. Don't go after my ass. That's okay, Argaiable. Oh. I really hate my blind because it just blows open and it's too hot anyway. I've got my window open and it's just boiling. I'm holding my fan up to my face. How could anyone forget Palestine? Because there's other things that people want to fucking talk about, unfortunately. Yeah, the actual reason that I wanted to talk about that video is because I saw this amazing video of this idiot Emirati propagandist. I think his name is Louay Ahmad. Louay Al-Sharif is the guy.
Here's an
he gives his explanation of what's happening in Sudan. So Louay Al-Sharif is, you know, like an Emirati propagandist. He's an Abraham Accords peace advocate, which is fucking insane, by the way. Saying that you're a peace advocate and an Abraham Accords advocate. And also, by the way, actually, I'll explain this. So this Emirati propagandist has a lot to say.
An explanation of what's happening in Sudan to those who are not aware, and the question of the UAE. After enjoying the Odyssey, I went back to classics and rewatched The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Unfortunately, when I look at Sudan today, that title keeps coming to mind. But before I say anything else, let me...
Okay, right, hold on. I'm going to have to fix this blind. Give me like 2 seconds. I just need to close part of the window because this is ridiculous. It's just the lighting's disgusting. Is he actually Palestinian? This makes this even more insane. This is in, I think this is actually, this is not in the UAE. I don't know where he is.
Make one thing absolutely clear. I'm an Arab, I'm a Muslim, I'm proudly a peace activist.
By the way, if you call yourself a peace activist and you're talking about the Abraham Accords, they have clearly been disastrous to peace. They're not actually for Palestinians. They're not for Arabs. They're not for anyone. They are literally for America. They are evidently not. And also, the other thing I would say about what he's saying is, did you know that the Abraham Accords in Sudan were kind of forced upon them? They were sort of forced upon them, the Abraham Accords. It was actually that they had to be removed from a state sponsor of terror by joining the Abraham Accords. Sudanese people protested consistently. Oh, wow. QAEP, thank you so much for the 5 Canadian. I haven't seen you in ages. You've got a golden Labubu. You haven't been here in ages. Awesome. Hi, Chris. Hope you've been well. I saw your debate vid with the opinionated girl. That opinionated girl, excuse me. Get her name right. Say her name. She's the one who knocks on the Israeli doors. I saw your debate vid with her, and you look so done. Ha ha ha. Hope you can get some tea. Thank you very much. I'm actually into coffee now, but thank you. That's how much things changed.
I'm not here to defend any party in Sudan's war. I'm not here to defend the Rapid Support Force, RSF. I'm not here to defend the Sudanese Armed Forces, SAF, either. There are no angels in this war. Both sides have killed. Both sides have been accused of terrible atrocities. The side that I choose to stand by vehemently is the people of Sudan. Just like I stand with the people of Iran and the people of Nigeria against the persecution that they face, and all people around the world who want to...
Is there any persecution that goes on by the state of the UAE against the people of the UAE? I don't know. Maybe, you know, is that a free country? Hello, Honey Clown.
Thrive and prosper. The bad. The Sudanese armed forces cannot simply present themselves to the world as the legitimate and innocent side of this conflict. The United States has already determined that members of the SAF committed war crimes and used chemical weapons in this ugly war.
Like, by the way, this is all true. The SAF are not like saints at all. The RSF are objectively worse than the SAF. Like, it's just matter of a fact true. And but there's still much to criticize. This is something that Covey put in the comments of our Sudan episode.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah. Both sides BS. The thing is like there's definitely criticisms of the SAF. And by the way, the thing he's saying is not necessarily untrue about the SAF. But if you listen to even what he states about the RSF doing, it's kind of incomparable.
chemical weapons used by the SAF. The army has also benefited from Iranian-made drones. And Sudan's old Islamist networks, figures, and movements associated with the era of Omar al-Bashir and the Muslim Brotherhood have re-emerged around this war and openly supported the army. No one is above accountability, including SAF, the ugly. Then there is the Rapid Support Force, RSF. The United States determined that the RSF and allied militias committed genocide in Darfur. There have been horrifying allegations and documented cases involving
Well, this guy is claiming that basically the UAE is not deeply involved and there just needs to be an investigation. The amount of reports on what the UAE is doing when it comes to the RSF is actually insane. There is so much evidence. Called Swag, where everyone isn't swagful and nice to each other. I've just solved racial politics. I am Mark Ruffalo style white who is chill. Wow.
ethnic cleansing, sexual violence, displacement, and attacks against civilians. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can justify those crimes. Condemning SAF doesn't mean supporting the RSF.
This guy is like part of the network of Emirati propagandists who claims he's into peace because he just loves the Abraham Accords. Like, genuinely, it's fucking insane. By the way, as a piece of peacemaking legislation, the Abraham Accords have been a straight-up disaster. Arguably, a major role was played by them in what happened on October the 7th and also the marginalization of the Palestinian cause.
And condemning the RSF doesn't make SAF innocent. Two things can be wrong at the same time. And then there is the question of the UAE involvement in Sudan. A few days ago,
By the way, this isn't really a question. This is an openly answered thing. So the thing he's referencing here, or he's about to reference, I actually read through this.
Reuters report details from a draft United Nations panel of experts report concerning aircraft allegedly transporting fighters, mercenaries, drones, and weapons connected to the RSF supply network. Those are serious allegations. They deserve a serious investigation. But there is one word people should remember: draft. The report is not yet the final published report, and this distinction...
So the report he's talking about here is Boeing's identified in Reuters report carried weapons for Sudanese paramilitary, UN experts find, okay? So this is absolutely undeniable. They also mentioned that one of the key things were mercenaries who went over. The mercenaries... UN investigators have also detailed the scale of the support provided to the RSF by Colombian mercenaries hired by a company in the UAE, saying estimates of 1,500 to 2,000 men were credible. So a company in the UAE has hired approximately up to 2,000 people and sent them to fight on the side of the RSF in Sudan. And this guy's like, oh, we've got to wait until we find out whether it's credible or not. But come on. Like, come on. It's just insane to say this. It is insane to say this. This notion that the UAE is not involved. I honestly, UAE involvement in Sudan. Just Google it right now and go on news. There is so much. The Financial Times article that I showed earlier, the UAE's imperial push into Africa, so many of them. Human Rights Watch are talking about this. Like, pretty much every outlet is talking about what they've done. And by the way, their involvement goes all the way back to the destabilization of the country and their backing of Hemedti as who they would have liked to have taken over. Yeah, listen to this. Late one night in April 2025, a Colombian private military contractor was leaving the UAE under unusual circumstances. They brought us in hidden clandestinely through the back of the airport, he told me. It was very hidden. He was departing Abu Dhabi after receiving military training from Emirati nationals at a UAE military base. So basically, this organization, the GSSG, which is the Global Security Services Group, has sent thousands of Colombian mercenaries to fight. They were also involved. They're known as the Desert Wolves. They were also involved in the planning of the assault on Al Fasher, which was like the genocidal massacre that was, you know, when people cared about Sudan for like 5 minutes, when you could see the piles of bodies from space. So that was actually carried out with the aid of these mercenaries sent over by the UAE. Yeah.
Matters because last year, another controversy emerged over flights from the UAE to Chad and allegations concerning support to the RSF. Experts examined the evidence, and allegations that didn't command sufficient evidentiary support were not included in the final report. Investigate.
I would like to see evidence for this. Like, this is UAE flights to Chad, weaponry. Like, I'd like to see evidence of this. Like, by the way, there are so many people reporting about this. Le Monde has an article here. The UAE reorganizes its arms supply network for the Sudanese paramilitaries. Abu Dhabi is seeking to develop new logistical routes from Sudan's neighboring countries, such as Ethiopia, the Central African Republic, to support the RSF. Like, by the way, it's insane, this notion that, oh, it's been investigated and they didn't find enough evidence.
Collect evidence. Cross-check sources, give accused parties an opportunity to respond, then reach a conclusion. So today, I have very simple questions. 1, who leaked an unfinished UN report? 2, why was it leaked before the investigation?
By the way, once again, the Twitch is nearly overtaking the YouTube in terms of viewers, which is a crazy statement.
The process was completed. 3, were all the allegations independently corroborated? And most importantly, is exactly the same evidentiary standard being applied to everybody? Because this cannot become international law by selective outrage. If Iran supplies weapons, investigate it. If Turkey supplies weapons, investigate it. If foreign mercenaries fight for the RSF, the Rapid Support Force, investigate it. If Islamist networks...
By the way, this is 100% confirmed. This is 100% confirmed that foreign mercenaries do fight for them. The RSF gets weapons supplied from Libya and Egypt. I don't know how much Egypt supplies them. They largely go through Egypt, though, is the thing. Like, a lot of fucking weaponry goes through Libya, excuse me.
Are helping prolong the war. Investigate them. If somebody supplies the RSF, investigate them. If somebody supplies SAF, the Sudanese Armed Forces, investigate them.
I think the SAF, by the way, are actually supplied by Egypt and Turkey. Like, I remember this report, actually. Egypt and Saudi Arabia were pressuring Libya's Haftar to stop UAE supplies to Sudan's RSF. So, yeah. Have we ever covered Burkina Faso? No, but I want to do an episode with Isaac about it. And hello, domesticated honeybee.
The UAE has...
But no, I don't think Egypt are actually supplying weapons to the RSF.
Done something wrong, prove it. And if it hasn't, say that clearly too. That is what the rule of law...
Yeah, I did come across the investigation about UAE influencers, that they're all linked to that guy. I can't remember his name. The one with the strange voice.
...means. So, who is the good? For me, the good should ultimately not be one army, militia, or government. The good must be international law. The good is accountability. The good is humanitarian aid reaching civilians. The good is an immediate ceasefire.
You are an Emirati propagandist who in their bio has the term Abraham Accords peace advocate, historian, Middle East affairs speaker. Like, you are talking about how you are a peace advocate. Your country is the main problem in this. Your country is the main issue in here. The main driving factor in this. By the way, it's also constantly being shared by Ian Miles Chong and, like, Ollie London. It's just insane having to listen to this.
The good is an independent civilian future for Sudan.
By the way, his country is the main driving force in the in that not existing. Like, there are multiple other players, but this is the main driving factor in this. What got modded? I've got no idea.
I don't want the United Nations to protect the UAE. I want the United Nations to protect the truth. If the evidence against anyone is strong, publish it, name them, prosecute them where the law allows. But if the evidence does not meet the required standard, correct the record. And if an investigation has been compromised by selective leaking, investigate that too. Because Sudan doesn't need another information war. It doesn't need another proxy war.
No, because your country's already fighting one. Yeah, Teba Beba, I'll let you know when we do it, but I don't know. I don't know when we'll do it, but Isaac has okayed it, so yeah.
Doesn't need the world choosing between the bad and the ugly. Sudan needs peace. The people of Sudan deserve peace and dignity. Sudan needs justice, and above all, Sudan needs one international standard applied equally to everyone, because there are no angels in wars. And my duty as a peace activist is to stand by the people, in this case, the Sudanese people. And I stand by the people of Sudan. I don't stand by the bad. I don't stand by the ugly, but I stand for a prosperous future for Sudan.
The UAE has a strong disinfo network in Europe, and they love weaponizing it in service of Islamophobia and UAE interests. Yeah, this is what my dissertation is about. My dissertation is about Emiratis and their role in what's termed reorientalism. So people like him, they preach this notion of tolerance, and they're like, oh, actually, no, Muslims are backwards, but we're the Muslims who are not backwards. We're the normal, totally acceptable Muslims who behave so differently. We're so much more civilized. And they do this as cover for their atrocious actions. Like, this guy's constantly calling out Hamas and Qatar and whoever because of how evil they are and blah, 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 blah. But the fucking thing is that, like, you know, the fucking thing about this is that, like, his country is so deeply involved and he's just a happy propagandist. The Arab Spring was a sham. Look at Tunisia. They're in awful condition. They rely on Algeria for electricity and all energy. It's like an Algerian state at this point. Tunisia was a democracy for a while. Unfortunately, it's engaged in quite a lot of authoritarian backsliding. You know, people there did struggle for something. Unfortunately, it was not delivered. You sure know that imam with the ridiculous headwear. I don't know if I'd call it ridiculous, but it's, yeah, I know who you're talking about. The one who talks about, like, whether it's haram to sell cats in Islam. Just like his general shtick, right? Like, sort of talking about issues that, you know, most people would kind of not care about, that are kind of funny, you know. But yeah, these people are just fucking crazy. These Emirati propagandists. Oh, actually, I'll tell you something else that I wanted to watch. A video of... Have any of you seen this Brett fucking Stevenson talking about genocide? Brett Stevenson, the New York Times columnist, talking about genocide in Gaza. Really, really sucky rubbish. New York Times, Brett Stevens argues that there was no genocide in Gaza. It's truly amazing.
A vast universe of people now who believe these things, who don't have any overt kind of familiarity with anti-Semitism, and generally believe that amongst them and their friends, who all they imagine are completely right thinking about these things, they just know that 70,000 odd people were killed during this conflict in a nation of 2.2 million. That seems really wrong, and I don't want my tax dollars going to that, and I should...
By the way, the casualties of the Gaza genocide are like 10% of the population. There are like 150,000 people who've been wounded through bombings. So, like, you know, about 10% of the population are casualties in Gaza. And also, by the way, it's like, oh, they're not acutely aware enough of anti-Semitism. What anti-Semitism to discuss whether Israel is bad or not? I am sorry, Israel, when you're talking about Israel, right, historically, when you're talking about anti-Semitism, you are talking about a group of Jewish people, a minority, being oppressed because they were Jewish and being blamed for all of the problems of said society. Yes, there are people who do this with Israel, but let's be real. When you're talking about genocide, you are talking specifically here about, you know, You are talking specifically about a state and it can or cannot perpetrate those crimes. It is a state. It is not just oppressed Jewish people. Linking it to historical anti-Semitism, frankly, is insane.
Be able to say that and say it forcefully without being accused of anti-Semitism. To the extent that I understand why there is an intense kind of emotional response to it. I share it in a lot of ways, but I'm also just, I don't know how you combat the kind of surging anti-Semitism.
Lemon Mincat, thank you for the support. Oh, fuck, what have I just done? Oh, shit. I've just accidentally deleted someone's message. Cosno, I'll read it out in a second. Sorry for deleting it. I posted in Discord a good video on Islam and Marxism. Who's it by? Maybe I'll check it out. Thank you for that, my man. The fact that 70k is still the number in the media makes me feel like I'm being strangled every time. I mean, it's at minimum 70,000, probably closer to 80, 100,000. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, huge amounts of people are buried in the rubble. For less than other conflicts. I know as well. They are just held to a way higher standard. It's like the famine stuff, you know. The famine, I mentioned this, I was trying to mention it in the debate with Maddie, if she's like, they changed the famine definition. And it's like, they actually did that in South Sudan as well. So this notion that they specifically changed it for Gaza is just not true. It's a lie. Why do you think they did it for South Sudan? To harm Jewish people in the context of South Sudan? It's insane.
That is there, and the also true dynamic of just people who have this aversion to Israel now related to actual foreign policy and domestic policy dynamics, and the bizarre circumstance that somehow in the year of 2026, like Israel has become like the fulcrum of American politics in ways that are just deeply bizarre and strange, and yes, do have some weird valence with anti-Semitism, I think properly.
You know what would probably help with this kind of stuff? Or, I don't know, what I think is kind of a little bit of a problem around this is if you didn't have, you know, politicians like John Fetterman who are like, in the Democratic Party, you should be never be allowed to criticize Israel. You should just never be allowed to criticize Israel. Like, he did literally say that. Fetterman said that.
Understood.
Yeah.
But not always easily identifiable and defined.
I mean, it's a great question you're asking and really hard to address. And I mean, I've tried to answer it over many columns and many, in many ways. You know, the problem you have...
speech earlier this year that you gave on this topic.
Yeah. I mean, I've given so many speeches now on this subject. Once you convince a critical mass of people that what is happening or what happened in Gaza was genocide, you've kind of lost the argument because you've lost the word. Right?
It's really interesting, by the way, as well, that these people who are not genocide scholars seem to think that they're the ones with authority on what the concept of genocide is. Pretty much, there is scholarly consensus that Israel perpetrated genocide. And if you're wondering why the scholarly consensus exists so much more, it's because always the term genocide, even from what Lemkin wrote, was much bigger than what these idiots try and claim that it is, you know? Hold on. By the way, I really do want to read Eyal Weizman's new book. I think it's called Ungrounding. He has a great essay in the LRB called All They Will Find Is Sand. So, look. The idea that the built environment determines a group's conditions of life recalls the modernist conception of architecture, prevalent when the word genocide was first conceived and defined by the Polish Jewish jurist Raphael Lemkin in his 1944 book, Axis Rule in Occupied Europe. Modern architecture offered to calculate and improve the conditions of life. Cities were to be laid out in accordance with public health principles, and homes, in Le Corbusier's famous definition, were to be machines for living in. So basically, I think under the UN definition that it should be a genocide. But I think where there is no contestation is in when you understand what genocide actually is. That genocide is not really and never was really entirely about killing people. Lemkin has this great quote as well. I'm sure it's in here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Lemkin has this great quote about machine guns. I can't really remember it. It's like when the machine gun... I can't remember it. But I think that when you talk about it much more as the destruction of culture, that is undeniably where Israel's genocidal actions lie. Look at this. Lemkin defined genocide as being aimed at the destruction of essential foundations of the life of national groups. He was thinking about the way Nazis saw the Jewish ghettos and enslaved labor camps as means of slow, indirect extermination. But he was also aware of the colonial origins of this mode of destruction through direct acts of massacre. Though direct acts of massacre took place in colonized territories everywhere, slow indirect killings have more often been the means of annihilating indigenous peoples, which is what Palestinians are. This is the whole point of Israel's structure, and this is also fantastic as well. The Genocide Convention ratified in 1948 did not mention the cultural genocide that Lemkin argued should be included. Entire sections were left out of the convention. Imperial powers such as Britain, France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, which were then attempting to suppress anti-colonial uprisings, wanted genocide to be defined in a way that would not restrict their activities. Settler colonial states, Australia, the US, and Canada, that had destroyed the physical heritage, culture, and languages of indigenous people also objected. But cultural and biological life are not separate domains when it comes to national survival. I would highly recommend Eyal Weizman. He's Israeli, but he runs Forensic Architecture. He's actually great. Honestly, he is great. But let's continue with what Bret Stephens says, because his notion that genocide has lost its meaning, if anything, there has actually been a real reclamation of what genocide actually is and constitutes.
And I tried strenuously to make the case that the suggestion that it's genocide is farcical.
Do you want to make that case now for people who are
sure.
listening?
If Israel wanted to commit genocide, if Israel wanted to kill every single Palestinian, it could have. It is a nuclear power.
It's very obvious that that is just not what genocide means. Even, by the way, under the UN Convention, that's not what it says. Claim that is genocide. Like, that's the strange thing about the UN. All they will find is sand. I'll just pull it up from here. So this is literally in Article 2. The first two concern mass killing and serious bodily harm bodily or mental harm. The fourth and fifth are concerned with interrupting the biological continuity of a group. The third prohibition, framed in Article 2, forbids deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction. That is exactly the most apt description of what Israel is trying to do, okay? That is why they are still not allowing basic stuff into Gaza. I know as well. By the way, Israel does not want to... Well, there are people in Israel who want to kill every Palestinian in Gaza. Every single one. That is true. But the thing is even the upper echelons know that they cannot actually do that. But in the logic of Israel's settler colonial project, which is what you need to see the genocide actually as, Israel doesn't actually need to kill the Palestinians. Israel doesn't need to kill a single Palestinian. What it needs to do is get the Palestinians out of historic Palestine, because that is where their existence poses a threat to the state of Israel. That is where they simply cannot be. They can be anywhere else in the world, but by then Israel will have erased their history, their culture. It will claim that there was only ever Jewish presence on their land, and we know for a matter of fact that Netanyahu and Trump openly discussed their desires to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people. And for people like this who are like, the world's gone mad thinking it's genocide, this man is trying to ethnically cleanse, these men are trying to ethnically cleanse 2 million people. And you're like, yes, the world has gone mad being convinced of genocide. It's like, what are you talking about? How do you actually believe this? How do you have a job? How is this treated with any significance as analysis?
Right. The Hutus killed the Tutsis by the hundreds of thousands over the space of 90 days. They weren't stopping, right?
But the Nazis killed Jewish people, unlimited Jewish people. But they also had other plans. They had plans to expel all the Jewish people and eliminate them as a group of people, coupled with mass killings and heinous actions. They also had plans to remove all of the Slavic people from Eastern Europe and wipe away their history and culture and replace it with Germans.
The Nazis were killing Jews as quickly as they possibly could in Auschwitz and Treblinka and so on, or at least the ones they weren't trying to work to death.
So there he admits also that even in the example that these people would probably only ever want to talk about as genocide, which is the Holocaust, that there were even differences in that. There were work camps. There were not always the mass extermination camps. There were ones like Treblinka, yes, where around 1 million Jewish people were killed. But there were other ones where they were being worked to death. Water pouring ASMR. Got myself my big bottle. Making sure not to pee all the time.
For utilitarian purposes, right? If Israel were trying to commit genocide in Gaza, why did it distribute polio vaccines? Right?
By the way, this isn't even true. This is the crazy part as well. I saw Alonso Guramendi point this out. First of all, the United Nations delivered polio vaccines with great difficulty because of Israel. But the other major problem is polio was not an issue in Gaza prior to October the 7th. Polio became a problem because of Israel's bombardment. This is like saying, I gave someone, you know, some kind of disease and then I gave them the treatment because I'm so moral. But you knowingly created the conditions for them to have said disease, which is the crazy thing.
And if Israel were trying to commit genocide in Gaza, why did it allow any food at all?
By the way, there was also a 3-month period where they did not allow any food into Gaza for 3 months. Also, did someone become a subscriber on Twitch? Because it seemingly says that you did, but I can't see it. It says that I'm now 5 out of 10 instead of 6 out of... No, 6 more, but I need 5 more now. So I didn't see you become it, so I apologize if I've missed that. And also, by the way, it's pretty evident that although the Biden administration didn't do the only thing that majorly mattered, which was stopping the Gaza genocide, they did sometimes operate as some kind of backstop to Israel continually doing whatever it pleased with threats. And yes, the World's Food Kitchen, yeah, and it was the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation where they were mass killing people.
If Israel were trying to commit genocide in Gaza, why was it dropping leaflets in different neighborhoods, repeatedly saying, please get out of this neighborhood because we're going to...
I also think telling people to get out of a neighborhood, destroying said neighborhood entirely, and then telling them that they are never allowed to return is unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. Like, thinking that that's a positive, driving people out of their homes, communities, and the places historically where they've lived is insane.
Attack it. You can make a lot of plausible arguments about the ways in which Israel used force and say they were unwise and unnecessary and excessive and didn't accomplish the task that they were.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Oh, Potato Power, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for becoming a member. Incredibly kind. Every little member helps. Thank you, my goat. Incredibly kind.
Trying to accomplish. And we can have a perfectly rational argument about that.
But wait. The distinction between ethnic cleansing and genocide does not feel, to me, that there is any reasonable argument to make that distinction. But okay, let's say you do. Do you really think that there is like this whole cult of completely unreasonable people who've just gone bloody mental and just for some reason have gone crazy at Israel, when there's clearly an attempt to ethnically cleanse? They may use euphemism, But the thing is that voluntary migration is just talking about calculated conditions to make life impossible. And by the way, people like Giora Island stated that they were going to do this, if any of you remember him.
But you can't tell me in one breath that Israel committed genocide in Gaza, and that is unforgivable. And then say, oh, and the Allies dropped bombs indiscriminately all over Germany and all over, by the way, France, Holland, Belgium. And of course, that's not genocide. Does anyone accuse Franklin Roosevelt of genocide?
In this context, where did the Allies ever state that their goal was to have a permanent state created in Germany that had no Germans in it, that was a European non-Germanic state? When did they ever do that? Whereas Israel's basic premise is to build a Jewish state in Palestine on Palestinian land. That is the base premise of Israel, okay?
I don't remember.
And yet, the Geneva Convention, you are right, is something that's an advent afterwards. And there are plenty of things there that probably should have been investigated as war crimes, and perpetrators should have been held to account for said war crimes.
Remember anyone saying it was genocide when we firebombed Hamburg, which was infinitely worse. I also worry, and this gets more to the anti-Semitism question. We estimate that somewhere between 10 and 40,000 people were killed in a 3-day span in Iran in January. And there is incredible documentation that goes with the argument that not only were they sort of killed incidentally in the course of a war, right? They were killed deliberately as a means of terrorizing a population that was otherwise disposed to overthrow the government.
I mean, first of all, I do not think that there is... The fact that you're saying there's overwhelming evidence that there's 10 to 40,000 people killed would suggest that there is not overwhelming evidence due to the humongous discrepancy in those numbers. But the other issue with all of this, is that you are acting as if that is similar. Israel also tried to prevent a people shaking off an occupation. They've tried it through non-violent means, they've tried it through militarized means, and Israel does mass killing to punish the civilian population and prevent them from ever rising up to challenge said occupation, to challenge said unjust status quo.
I can't think of a single campus protest about the fact that in 3 days Iran killed, let's say, half as many people as Israel killed, Palestinians killed.
Which of those universities has research programs with Iranian universities that are specifically designing weapons for the Basij or whoever to kill Iranians? Which of those? Which of those? Which of those? I'd like to know which American university has that, which is also obviously a major, massive disconnect. I would like to know.
In the space of 2.5
hot war
years, in a hot war in which unmistakably an enemy that was firing at you was hiding behind, beneath, and between civilians.
I also love this concept of hiding behind civilians. Most of the time they just killed even low-level Hamas operatives when they were with their family. When they were with their family. They talk about that,
I'm talking about Hamas. Mm-hmm. So I'm really disturbed by the fact that the one human rights atrocity, let's call it that for the sake of argument, that the left and the Democrats seem really animated about is Israel. That's the one thing.
I also, by the way, I don't know if I would push the notion that it was entirely AstroTurf. There are so many Iranians who've expressed discontent at the government there. You will meet more Iranians who express discontent at the government than more who express satisfaction. And I'm not just talking about people who've lived in the diaspora their entire life, who've never even been to Iran. I have met so many Iranians who actually live there who are like, yeah, things are shitty in Iran and things are tough and I don't like the government, the way that the government behaves. I don't doubt, by the way, that Israel was trying to use it to do a coup. I actually don't. But at the same time, there are many people who protested who are like discontent with their government, who have protested massively. Otherwise, I'll start describing how I want to end Mr. Stevens to end up. Yeah, I mean, totally fair enough. There are a few cool diasporic Iranians, 100%. Were they involved in that armed insurrection? I mean, the areas probably where there seemingly was armed insurrection probably would have been in Kurdish areas. The Kurdish marginalization in Iran is awful. It's like bad. It really, really sucks. Need to start with a kernel of truth. Also, the Mossad sacked 2 top officials who were allegedly involved in planning the regime change. I can send the link if you want. Sure, send the link. That doesn't mean they want to overthrow the state. There are plenty of people in Iran who want to overthrow the state, like genuinely. They just don't. I think there's also just this thing of a lot of people don't want to see people that they know, love, and care about being bombed and the consequences of what the American government does,
They care about. And then they'll say, well, it's because we give Israel money. We give Turkey money. And Turkey has been...
We shouldn't give goddamn Turkey any money, sir.
I agree, by the way, for a whole host of reasons. But I never hear the argument made, Turkey occupies northern Cyprus in violation of UN resolutions. Turkey has an ongoing war of atrocities against innocent Kurdish civilians, not only in Turkey itself, but in Syria and...
Do you think we should have like a close relationship with Turkey? Do you think people are advocating for close relationships with authoritarians who are protesting for the overthrow of a brutal or authoritarian regime? Mossad head reportedly removes 2 senior officials behind Iran regime change. Iran division chiefs. Interesting, I've not seen this article. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm demonetized now. Oh, fuck me. Fuck. Fuck. That sucks. Oh well. Why is Turkey being attacked here? Because it's just a country that does bad things and wrong things. Because the problem is that that article had a page with something on that is just guaranteed demonetization, which fucking sucks. This is why it's so fucking hard to look at anything.
And
it's not your fault, by the way. You sent me an article from the Times of Israel. It'll just demonetize me. It's going to demonetize me. In fact, this is the fucking problem. How am I supposed to fucking stream when YouTube cuts the fucking revenue massively, but also they just demonetize you for anything? Like a second flash on the screen. I know it was. I got demonetized yesterday. I don't even know what for. Oh, it sucks.
Northern Iraq. Oh, and by the way, we consider Turkey an indispensable NATO ally, and we have 50 nuclear gravity bombs parked at Incirlik Air Base, to the best of my knowledge. We never mentioned that.
Yeah, you do get the revenue. Well, the thing is Twitch pays no ad revenue because I'm not going to be a partner on Twitch, and I don't get enough. Like, Twitch is not sustainable. YouTube is way more sustainable. Turkey is a democracy. I don't think Turkey is a democracy anymore. Once upon a time, I think you could have made that argument, but Erdogan has arrested and suppressed opposition.
So the selectiveness of the fury, I think, is to me like incredibly disturbing. It's this ally and this war that concerns you. Right now, the RSF is about to kill like 600,000 people somewhere in, I forgot the name, in Sudan, right? The RSF is supported by the United Arab...
Burger Reich.
Hey, Senate Sadiq, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you for making up for helping to make up for the loss of monetization. Incredibly kind. Incredibly kind. Thank you for supporting the channel. It's just, yeah, it's incredibly kind. Is there a way to have a separate monitor you can put stuff on like it's not displayed on your stream? Well, that's why I'm not blaming Teba Beba at all. It's like, or I wouldn't blame you, by the way. You sent me a link to look at. It's something I say I do. It's just like, literally, on that link, it just so happens that there's a photo of a person being brutally beat up, and it's like, oh, you know, you're not going to notice that. It sucks. It sucks. But yeah, thank you so much for supporting the channel. They're incredibly kind. W Senate, indeed. But normally I do check things, but you know, it's just so hard to be this careful. Like so hard. Have a liquid libation on me. I don't know what libation is, but thank you. Thank you so much. I also, sorry, I just want to note something. Like this whole thing of where Israel sits differently is Israel is treated as this kind of, like Israel is treated as this family, this nice family, this country that belongs in the nice family of advanced nations who really cares about human rights and democracy, that it's the only democracy in the Middle East, that it's just surrounded by brutal, horrible, evil people. And it's just, yeah, it's like, come on. I've come across so many pro-NATO, pro-Palestine people. Terratrove, thank you for the $5. Thank you for supporting the channel. Fuck AI YouTube moderation. Yeah, I know, man. I know. To be honest, I was so concerned one day that I was going to be banned. There was a day where I had to take something down because there was like, a tiny clip in a video that I was like, holy shit, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. But I think I just hyper panicked, but it's to do with the demonetization stuff is the bigger problem right now. Maybe to Aaron and now. Yes, you're probably right about that. Thank you for reminding me. I always forget that. Yeah, also, someone noted that atomically powered. It is truly incredible listening to this guy doing whataboutery about Sudan. And then just forgetting where they're going to do it. I don't know where he's talking about 600,000 people are about to be killed in Sudan. He doesn't even know. Oh my goodness, thank you for the $10, Lemon Mint Cat. Ethnic cleansing came from the genocide of Bosnians. Bosnians, Jesus. I'm blessed my BFF who understands my heartbreak. Her people were treated as less and forced to flee, all for the land stolen by their brothers. It's just like, I've heard this, and I tend to believe it's true. I tend to believe it's true, this notion that, you know, this notion that, like, ethnic cleansing is some different crime. Even if it is, it's still one of the gravest crimes imaginable. A crime against humanity. And these people speak about it like, oh God, because there's not a genocide going on, it means that everything's fine and people are crazy about Israel. This comes down to an opinion about what constitutes genocide in the academic thing. In the academic field, if you believe that there's ethnic cleansing going on, it's truly mental that you defend it.
Arab Emirates, who are good allies. Nobody's fucking talking about this, right? There are no college campus protests. The one obsession that the left has is weirdly about a war which was initiated when when Hamas killed 1,200 Israelis in the most grotesque, brutal fashion, and then filmed it on GoPro.
By the way, amazing statement. If you ever want to know, some people are just like, oh, Edward Said is just like, you know, a literary critic, and I've never been Said's biggest fan of Orientalism. He does other great stuff. Like, I think his other work is fantastic too. But look, listen to the way he talks about what Hamas did versus how he talks about what Israel did. It's just insane. Also, thank you for the $7, Crystal, the Canadian. Incredibly kind with the keep it up. Thanks for supporting the channel.
Cameras and took women who had been visibly raped as hostages into Gaza. And that doesn't factor into anyone's calculation about how this war started. So, yeah, I find this like, I mean, I absolutely think, by all means, let's have a good faith argument about Israel's choice of tactics, whether it's in Gaza and Lebanon. But the fact that it's been termed a genocide when it's plainly not, okay, and the fact that it's become the central obsession of the left, the question on which congressional races in New York City now, primary races now turn, I think is like a stunning fact. And again, like I'm...
Wah,
Wah! I'm an old liberal and everyone has to love Israel. Wah! 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 Also, like, okay, Israel's prime minister openly talks about his desire to ethnically cleanse Palestinians. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And also, yeah, I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you for all of the support that helps to make up for the idiocy of YouTube moderation. Like, the idiocy of YouTube moderation is just, yeah. And like the fact that that 1 second of an article will be like, you showed incredibly violent content because I do news streaming, you know? But yeah, just like this old guy who's like, I'm listening to his thing and it's like, oh, come on. But also, by the way, I think one of the reasons that people are so obsessed with Israel is because there's just this reflexive desire amongst politicians and the elite media class, people like Brett Stevens, to just offer these defenses of Israel, to explain why criticism of it is insane, that people are wrong to talk about it in this kind of capacity. You don't find that with other countries. You really don't. Like, you actually do find it with the US, but it's so rare. Like, you wouldn't hear these people defending actions of other states, you know?
Calling out J.D. Vance on the unmistakable stench of anti-Semitism coming from those remarks, right? Let's call out the left also on this bullshit. Why are they so fucking Israel obsessed? I shouldn't say.
No, you can say they're fucking Israel obsessed because they are fucking Israel obsessed. But also to the point of
some of them have admitted it.
On the show.
On this podcast.
Yeah. The other thing to point out is that the funding, it's our money, it's our bombs, does not apply to any country in Europe that is obsessed with Israel too.
By the way, one of the other crazy things is one of the biggest drivers in the arms trade. One of the biggest drivers of pro-Palestine protest in the UK is this organization, Campaign Against the Arms Trade. These people are fucking obsessed with Yemen. The notion that this is all like some magical thing that has flown up around Palestine. Now, these people were talking constantly about the UK's supply of weaponry to Saudis for what they were doing in Yemen. Yeah.
When I lived in Sweden.
Australia, by the way, they're saying the same things. What Australian munitions are being used in Gaza? Nothing.
No.
Right? In Mexico, my hometown, I was in Mexico City, and they're obsessed with it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's been on the...
I wonder, I guess Mexicans are just like crazed anti-Semites. Have people in like Mexico, I know it's a settler colonial state, but like have Mexicans ever experienced persecution by a more powerful country that's treated them negatively? I don't know. I really don't know about that. I guess maybe, I'm not so sure. And like brutalizes their people and, you know, uses them as just disposable workers. They need to stop comparing legitimate self-sufficient countries, no matter how bad they are, to Israel, an artificial entity entirely reliant on foreign welfare. You know what's crazy as well? You want to know something about Israel that also sets it apart as just this dumbass colony. Most people, when Israel was first founded, who were in positions of power and were asked about it, were like, don't found it because it will constantly be a threat. Now, I'm not going to read this out, but this is Murtaza Hussein, who was reading Israel's Lobby, which is by Eli Clifton and Lustig. Just read this, but he's put all the pages here if anyone's interested. This is from Murtaza Hussein. The recognition of the State of Israel was unanimously opposed by Truman-era national security officials, including influential figures like George C. Marshall, on the grounds that it was a radical sectarian project that would envelop the US in endless wars in the Middle East for generations. Targeted lobbying and political pressure on Truman led him to push forward. Like, it's all here. Like, when it was founded, it was always going to be this issue. It sucks. It really sucks.
I was shocked when I lived in Europe at how many column inches were devoted to Israel on the front cover of newspapers in countries that had no connection except for the Jews of those countries.
It's also pretty evident that why young Westerners and young Europeans care so much about Palestine is because it stands for a way bigger global injustice. a way bigger global crime that is both historical and ongoing, where Israel remains the example of this settler colony that continues the practices and processes of the colonial empires with their full support. By the way, it's also under a month from the 1-year Kirk-anniversary, so I hope you guys are interested in that.
We're leaving.
I mean, Slovenia at one point announced an arms embargo on Israel. Happily, Israel requires no Slovenian munitions. The irony here, of course, I mean, I'm actually in favor of ending the U.S. supplemental aid, which is essentially a subsidy for Boeing and Lockheed, so that Israel uses American money to buy.
By the way, I don't even think that's true, the thing he just said. It said it was moving ahead independently. Where is it? It doesn't mention the figures in here, but they banned the arms trade. I have no doubt that they were trading arms with them. According to media reports, AE Electronics, a subsidiary of Israel's biggest arms manufacturer, Elbit Systems, used a Slovenian port to transport military cargo to Israel, despite Slovenian decision to ban arms exports. They were doing it still. Like, this notion of, oh no, there were no weapons going there. These people are so up their own arses. Like, this guy's probably getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, working at the New York Times to say shit like this.
American arms. I'm actually for ending it. Israel has a $600 billion economy. They can buy arms on the...
No, the quote by David Ben-Gurion is something like, I'd rather save, I'd rather save half of the Jewish people, or it's something to that effect. I'd rather save half of them if they came to Israel than all of them, and none of them did.
Open market the same way
the Saudis do.
The Saudis or the Brits or whoever buy it. But what the Democrats, if they actually thought through their policies, don't realize is the moment that day comes when Israel doesn't have the strings of a kind of clientelistic relationship with the United States, right? That actually will be more permissive for the Israelis. Right now, Israel is clearly and visibly restrained by the United States in Gaza and in Lebanon, right? In part because we have this level of control over the weapon.
God, Jesus fucking Christ. Israel is restrained not because you have control over the weapons, but because it is a tiny little settler colony that cannot act entirely independently, that requires support from pretty much every country to do it.
They have and how they might be used and how they might be withheld.
The argument's the opposite, right? I mean, the number of people I had arguments with at the beginning of the Iran war that Netanyahu was puppeteering Trump to go to war that he, didn't want to. I mean, that's everybody from Megyn Kelly to people that I'm friendly with personally.
What happened to Megyn Kelly?
That's a different episode. That's a different episode. And that one's going to a very big paywall because we can,
big, beautiful paywall. It's going to be built by Mexico.
Paywall. It's going to be the best paywall.
Paid for by Mexicans and also built by Mexicans.
Yeah, because all of our listeners are in Mexico. So it's
Mexicans will pay for your paywall.
Yeah. Our Mexican listeners in the paper. But yeah, I mean, you are again making the argument that is the opposite of the one that you hear so frequently.
Well, exactly. I mean, and the suggestion is always the smart Jews control the dumb Gentiles.
Yeah,
which is the oldest anti-Semitic trope. I wish
I'm all for that, by the way.
Unfortunately, I've been doing my damnedest for years, and it isn't working. Right?
Yeah. Iran.
Jesus Christ. I don't think anyone believes that Netanyahu is particularly smart who actually believes that. A lot of them just believe that he's blackmailing them. What do these people even regularly talk about? Can DSA survive actual voters? Who is Maggie Haberman? Who is this? Who are these? Why I won't vote for Vance? Why Brett Stevens would vote for any Democrat over J.D. Vance? Are we the baddies? The Graham Plattner reckoning? God, I can't imagine how dog shit their takes are that. Trump got played by Iran. Brilliant. I think Brett Stevens is an advocate. Brett Stevens, Iran war. Iran war. this was the case. Look at this guy lecturing you on how much more he knows than those dumb college kids. The war is going better than you think. Oh my God. Imagine having to listen. Imagine having such confidence in yourself that you think what you're saying is genuinely so correct. And you're publishing stuff like, the war is going better than you think. Come on, lad. Come on, lad. You gotta take a break, my man. You gotta take a break. If I publish shit like this about like how well the Iran war is going, and then had the audacity to tell people that they're all dumb and I'm the all-knowing New York Times columnist, I'd probably take a bit of a break, you know. He called Brett the bedbug. Why did he call him the bedbug? I told you Maddie was more listenable than Brett Stevens. You know what? At least Maddie has a take. Comment on the fight between a Republican. Oh my God, I've seen that video. I actually want to talk about that. Guys, do you know that Death Noodles had a fight with like the dumbest pro-Israel guy in the world? I fucking hate Yosef Haddad. It is incredible though. Yosef Haddad and Death Noodles. By the way, I actually got invited on a debate by the guy hosting this, and he was like, I was like, I can't come to America, and I don't know if I ever would have done it anyway, but I don't really, unless it's like, you know, I would rather surely debate on my own channel. It's like when someone's like, we'll find a moderator, and it's like, what? So they get paid for something that I'm doing? Like, what? I don't know, but yeah. Have a watch of this. Talking to Yosef Haddad, this is actually the problem that people need to reckon with more, and I think the pro-Palestinian side needs to talk about this. Within every person, the Palestinians have created a sleeping Hamas agent. Death Noodles, after speaking to Yosef Haddad for probably 20 minutes, went absolutely crazy.
Okay, stop it. Hey.
He did get owned by Yosef Haddad there, to be fair. But a lot of this does just feel like theatre. Look at Yosef Haddad. I don't know how tall Yosef Haddad is, but he is really teeny tiny. You know, I don't know. It's really hard to find out what happened with this guy. So Yosef Haddad got his legs blown off in Syria, but Yosef Haddad is 40 years old, by the way. Grok is saying that Yosef Haddad is Yosef Haddad is 5'11". I don't think that's true. That's what Grok claims about Yosef Haddad. The man is tinsy wincy, a little teeny weeny guy. But anyway, Yosef Haddad, the woman on the phone is Yosef Haddad's wife / fiance. Yosef Haddad was on house arrest because he tried to shoot someone. Well, he actually fired a gun during an argument that he said was because of racism, but actually it was apparently just because of, you know, it was just because of road rage. But yeah, he was on house arrest, but I can't find much more about what happened. He was indicted, but then it's not really clear as to what happened to him.
Assault charges. You've been punched in the head, punched in the face, and you go cry your mom. Bro, don't provoke. No. It's not provoke. Just everybody just shut the fuck up. Hey, Yusuf, get out! Get out, Yusuf! Get out! Yusuf, get out! Bye! 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 Go! I'm not violent like you. Go! Hey, go! Don't provoke! You can do shit! Go! Please, don't provoke! Please!
By the way, I hate Yosef Haddad's silly little white trainers. Basically, Death Noodles, who is an ex-YouTuber who's trying to become a Republican politician, is now having beef with Def Noodles is kind of like a sort of failed YouTuber who was once very successful, but now he's no longer very successful. Yeah. He just used to react to stuff wearing cat ears, but now he's attempting to be a Republican politician. He was debating Yosef Haddad, and there was a fight.
So his marriage, by the way. His father's going to approve of the marriage. Come on. Go. Wait. You got up. Go. Wait, we do have still one more debate, or was the final?
No, there's one more. There's probably two more, actually, who could, like, not wreck the place, you know?
Well, don't bring 5 people together.
You killed children, you fucking loser.
You know what? This is actually based from Def Noodles for once, calling him a child killer. Like, Yosef Haddad is a really repugnant guy. I actually think Hila Klein might follow him. I actually have a feeling that Hila Klein does follow Yosef Haddad, if I remember correctly. Or she certainly has liked his content. Oh yeah, Hila Klein, by the way, does actually follow Yosef Haddad. There's confirmation if you really want it. Hila Klein follows this man, followed by Klein Hila. So yeah, Hila Klein follows this person. So she thinks that this is a good advocate for the Palestinian cause. But by the way, Def Noodle's fight with Yosef Haddad didn't end there. It continued into the parking lot. And Yosef, oh my god. By the way, imagine sort of dealing with this. So this is more footage of this going on.
Look at him stuffing his hands with rocks. He's scared. He's stuffing his hands with rocks.
You need a big man to do your work.
He's scared.
The same way you
Yo, this is your husband. Touch me. Don't touch me. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
You shut.
Hey, stop. Hey.
There we go.
Whoa.
You see, you got shit.
You want more? You want fucking more?
Shoot a shit.
What do you want? You fucking loser? Can you tell
Oh my god. Oh god. By the way, this Yosef Haddad guy is an absolute piece of shit. Def Noodles is too.
Hands with rock. Shit.
You want more? You want fucking more?
We got other camera angles. It looks staged. I know it's not staged, but yeah.
There's a little bit.
This is the man who's currently fighting Yosef Haddad. Incredible.
What do you want? You fucking loser? I didn't do shit. You needed 3 people to get me off for you, you fucking loser.
Hands with
But yeah, if you're wondering what's going on in the Republican pro-Israel, anti-Israel Republican movement, I know. Do you know, I remember telling you that before I debated Lonerbox for the second time, I had a dream where I got up and like slapped Lonerbox in the dream. And it wasn't like me, I think he's probably much taller than me. I'm not a particularly tall person. It wasn't like some dream of my sort of supremacy over Lonerbox. It was like a dream that was almost, you know, probably a realization of the worry that, you know, you could fuck up a debate and really embarrass yourself. And I like had this dream that was absolutely like tragic. In the sense of, like, I had a dream that I was just embarrassing myself, slapping Lonerbox in a dream. Obviously, I'm not encouraging that. And no, I'm not encouraging or talking about violence. I've told that story before. It wasn't even like a proper slap. Like, in the dream, I literally went like that on his face. And it was, like, in the middle of the debate. And then he said to me in the dream, why did you do that? And I was like, because you annoyed me. And it was really embarrassing. And then everyone was like, Chris, you shouldn't have hit Lonerbox. We all understand Uriah. And it was one of those very real dreams. I've mentioned that on stream 100% before. It wasn't like, as I say, it was more like a it was more like, you know, it wasn't like a nice dream of like, oh, I got the satisfaction of slapping him. It was a dream about me being me being ashamed of something I did. You know, one of those traumatic dreams. No, it was not a base dream. Stop saying it was a base dream. It was a cringe dream. Dude, like, honestly though, like, that would reflect horribly. Imagine if in the middle of, like, talking to someone about Israel and Palestine, you got up and smacked them in the face. Like, Death Noodles, it's only funny because of how bad Yosef Hadad is, but it's still embarrassing. Why did you do it, though? At this point, I have no recollection. It was just some dumbass dream. By the way, if you want to see another clip of what this Yosef Hadad guy is like... He's telling Palestinians that they shouldn't protest or talk down to him at Tel Aviv University, and that they should be expelled to Jenin, and that if they're there, they should be quiet. No, guys, I wouldn't justify violence against Lonabox or anyone. Like, I wouldn't justify violence against these people. I would never encourage it. Also, like, you know, it's like even during that debate with Maddie, people were like, oh, you were going to call her a B-word. As I said, I was actually 100% going to call her a pussycat, but I felt so weird saying that to her because Maddie creeps me out, to say the least. By the way, this is one of my favorite characters. This guy, I was on his live the other day and I was like, will you debate me about Israel? He claims he doesn't talk about Israel anymore. His name's The Moderate Case. This guy is such, like, he's talking about this. This guy's body is, like, crunched and squished together. He's teeny, tinsy wincy. I don't know what's going on with him. With the back of the hand, I don't know how to slap someone. No, it was like, in the dream as well, it wasn't even like an aggressive slap. It was like a slap like that, like tapping someone on the face, and it was a dream, okay? Also, by the way, people always ask me what bands I like, and a band that now that always makes me think of Lonabox for some reason is Belle and Sebastian, who are a band I really like, but I think they're Glaswegian, so yeah, that kind of explains it. I'm quite short, but I'm quite large. I'm quite large in terms of my muscularity. I'm a muscular young chap. I'm a chap who's a growing boy. I love Belle and Sebastian. Belle and Sebastian are goated. They are goated. I'm not shredded. Shredded describes being slightly more muscular. I'm muscular, but my belly is a little big because I don't eat enough healthy stuff. Enemies to lovers with Maddie Wen. I could not imagine. Can you imagine going on a date with Madeline? I mean, first of all, I have a girlfriend. There is no one else in the world I would ever go on a date with. Second of all, imagine, but if I were theoretically on a date with Maddie, or any of us were, she'd be like, so you hear about Israel? You hear about Trump? And she'd be like, if you're on a first date, she'd be like, what's your position about non-white people deserving to suffer more? I don't think there's anyone else that you'd want to go on a date with less, apart from maybe like Reinhard Heydrich or Goebbels or Hitler or Israeli soldiers, or I guess like any sort of genocide fan from anywhere. But, you know, it'd kind of be the same as going on a date with one of them. She'd end up just trying to tell you and explain to you why non-white people deserve to suffer. Like, that would be your discussion with her. Every week you go on a date with your boyfriend in the polycule. That is true. Isaac, once a week we do talk about that. We actually talk twice a week. You may not know that about Isaac and myself. Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein would probably be quite funny to go on a date with because he'd start having like some sort of massive sort of meltdown about something. Like the waiter would accidentally bring him, I don't know, cacio e pepe instead of carbonara, and he'd explain to you why it was an anti-Semitic snark incident. Which speaking of, one of the worst anti-Semitisms of the year has occurred. So Greta Thunberg has committed the... by the way, Greta Thunberg is one of those people... I was thinking about this the other day, and I know other people have said it. It is fucking insane that Greta Thunberg ended up the way she did. In the sense of, this lady could have coasted in New York Times articles, every big outlet, if she'd never talked about Palestine, if she'd never actually taken an actual decolonial approach to politics and had just stuck with, a bit of the climate stuff, not taking it too far. She could have done really well. But so she has committed the evil act of standing in front of a photo by Heidi Backram has declared, I'm getting reports of a new Greta Thunberg anti-Semitism coming in, okay? Yep. First she posed with an octopus. Now she is standing proudly in front of a wall of photos, including IRA terrorist Bobby Sands and Palestinian terrorist Layla Khaled. I see her touring of Northern Ireland is going predictably. Who's she covering? I also love, by the way, how, other people on here include Shireen Abu Akleh, who was murdered by, the Israelis. You also have Malcolm X. I'm surprised she hasn't taken umbrage with Malcolm X, Che Guevara. I've forgotten this lady's name. It's the Palestinian... Is it Tamimi? Some Ahad Tamimi? Is that her name? Layla Khaled is genuinely so goated. That is your opinion. I do not know what my opinions on Layla Khaled are allowed to be living in this country, but yeah, she certainly is an interesting lady. Yeah. So yeah, this was Greta Thunberg's major anti-Semitism. Oh, that's James Connolly. Okay. And that's Mohammed El Kurd, obviously. Is it Ahad Tamimi? Is that her name? Am I correct about that? That's Sinead O'Connor. Who's that? Who's the lady there? Obviously, by the way, as well, standing in front of Bobby Sands and highlighting Bobby Sands as an evil terrorist. I'm sorry, Bobby Sands was clearly a very popular man who wanted to struggle for justice. Yeah, he got arrested for having a gun and stuff, but he was also an elected member of parliament, and he was starved to death by fucking Margaret Thatcher. He was a man who struggled for dignity, and you're calling him a terrorist, but no surprises there. Rima Banar. Thank you. But then Greta committed the most unacceptable of anti-Semitisms. The worst anti-Semitisms I think I've seen in years. Greta was visiting a Palestinian cafe called Jerusalem in Derry. This is their coffee art that erases Israel. Charming little extremist place. By the way, whoever this lady is, it's probably Sarah. It's probably Sarah. Sarah's been involved in anti-Semitism of the year. This coffee erases Israel. You know what? If this coffee actually erases Israel, I would drink it. I would drink it 100%. I would drink that. Give me that coffee right now. I would love to drink that. If that coffee erases Israel, I couldn't imagine anything better than having a drink of that. But I think my favorite feature of someone like this is, so Israel, by the way, had to retract some statement about it pretending there was no famine in Gaza. I'm sure this is in here. Fuck. Do you remember when I had that thing of Southern Lebanon? Israel erases Southern Lebanon. Israel, Southern Lebanon. Israel, she's like, this coffee erases Israel. Here it is. So the Israeli Foreign Ministry published this. The Israeli Foreign Ministry published this. First of all, they actually erased the West Bank, and they also put Israel as being in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, basically. So they put that there as Israel. they also annexed part of southern Lebanon. And by the way, this wasn't a random coffee shop in fucking Derry. This was this was the Israeli fucking foreign ministry. And by the way that they've erased these Palestinian and Lebanese territories is through disgusting genocidal assault. But you know, what can you do? What can you do? This is anti-Semitism of the year.
Absolutely. Alison Barber, great interview today with Sangeeta on Double Down News. You know, Sangeeta.
I just think it's very disrespectful.
God, this woman just posts about Irish people. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Irish people are up to base stuff. It's horrible people like you who are the concern, who support what Israel is up to. Also, oh my fucking God. Listen to this. This is disgusting. Their millionaire funder, Fergie Chambers, is sitting in jail, awaiting extradition to the US to face charges of providing support to a foreign terror organization. She is literally mocking the Samir Project, something that feeds people in Gaza. Something that feeds people in Gaza. At a certain point, people like Heidi Bahram just should be rotting in jail. But instead of unfortunately, we don't live in a moral world. And instead, people like Heidi Bahram get to tell us that, like, anti-Semitism is out of control because Greta Thunberg went to a cafe that has anti-Semitic art on. Did Sheikh Yassin actually say that? If my brother comes and takes my house and kicks me out, I'd kill him. Latte is. Let's have a look at, guys. If you're in Ireland, critical support to Jerusalem Cafe in Derry. You need to give critical support to Jerusalem Cafe in Derry right now. Fergie Chambers, we need you to come free so you can give critical support to it. Greta had the audacity to pop in for a. She committed the crime of popping in for a Palestine-related drink. Who can blame her? Thank you, Jerusalem Bakery and Coffee House. It just seems like nice people who do Palestinian coffee art. Half the time, it's not even Palestinian coffee art. God, if it was up to Heidi Bahram, she'd probably have the people arrested and killed who run that, because they did October the 7th to her. My fucking God. Also, by the way, any new viewers on Twitch, you got a Prime? That shit has to come my way. Now. It's too far away from me. Nothing is far away if you believe it. Critical support to Jerusalem Coffee. Yeah, I mean, probably the reason that they didn't call it Al Quds Cafe is probably because it's just not as name recognizable. Now you need to have him on No Politic here. We've got a few guests coming on. We have a Western Sahara episode this Friday with Dom Hall Kagito. We also then have an episode with, I'm hoping, Matt Lieb pretty soon. I don't know if we'll get Daniel Mate too, but I'd love to have Matt Lieb on. Well, Matt Lieb's already kind of like, yeah, I'll come on. But it kind of just depends. Like, potentially we'll maybe have people on in the future. Give us the Labubus. I do need to actually set it up so it shows you guys having a Labubu. I will fix that. Okay. God. Matt Lieb is chill. Yeah, I want to have him. I want to have him on. Yeah, the problem is I thought you could just shove it in, but I wanna get that in. I wanna put that in. I don't know what Matt Lieb's stance was on Platner, but I doubt we'll talk about that for the episode. I don't think that'll be the crux of the episode, but I don't know. Latte-based hate crimes are serious, Chris. Can you do art on a... Is it possible to do art on a... on an Americano? No, Americano's black coffee, isn't it? So maybe with some real tech. I just remember the tasty food. Maybe Adam would be a fun guest to have on. I don't know. We'll see. I've told Isaac about this. I really want to review some Israeli stuff, and I really, really want to do it. Some Israeli media. So hopefully Isaac will let me go crazy with the Iranian media. Israeli media. Iranian media I'd actually love to review. I fucking love Iranian films. By the way, guys, I know that people are talking about this eclipse as this sort of once-in-a-lifetime thing, but more importantly, a nice Israeli just dropped, who already was kind of nice anyway. This is Ofer Kasif, who's like one of the limited number of nice Israelis in the Knesset, or ones who's not a maniac.
Thank you so much. We stop the occupation. I assure you, Palestinians and Israelis, Arabs and Jews together. We are brothers and sisters. We are not enemies. We are brothers and sisters under the same sun and the same sky. We'll defeat the fascists. Everybody should understand. It's not terrorism of settlers. The settlers are the proxies of the government and the occupation forces.
By the way, I figured something out. If I want to get views, I could literally just start making videos that are like, you know, that are like, this Israeli said what? Did you hear that they did surgery on a grape? Jesus Christ.
This is a clear state terrorism. They finance that, they support it, and they encourage it. This is something. So I've been today to Melchir, to Tuba, where the people, very poor people, their houses were set in fire by settlers last Wednesday.
I mean, the problem with him is just like, he is very... There are not many people who are like him in Israeli politics, and I'm sure he's not perfect on anything, but...
People were almost burned to death there. A pregnant woman, her arm was broken by a settler. Everything is accompanied by the occupation forces and by the government, encouraged, as I said, and financed by the government. It's the same here in the area of Taibe. Those Palestinian communities, good people.
Oh my God, yeah, I've seen the Israeli election footages. Oh God. There was one of some lady who posted a video about, there was one who posted a video that was just about fucking, like, picking up immigrants with, like, sort of a cherry picker that was, like, and it's, like, cleaning up the trash, and she's a leftist in Israel. The commodification of Palestine. I saw this video's existence, but we can actually watch this if you want. We'll watch this after this.
People who just want to live normal lives in freedom, in equality, just life. That's it. They don't expect and they don't seek to harm anyone, just to live. This is a part of the extermination project, of the ethnic cleansing. And that's the reason why it is so difficult to stop, because the government...
These videos are just fucking crazy as well. Just like watching Israeli settlers just go into a Palestinian shop and just smash shit up. And by the way, they get away with it.
Doesn't want to stop it. They want it to continue.
You were telling me that these settlers are known. There are WhatsApp groups. There are numbers.
Absolutely.
There are names. Law enforcement agencies know who these settlers are.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you wrote to the Attorney General, but more than a year ago, about
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
May 23.
About another pogrom by Israeli settlers. What?
Why are they so cruel? Because this is exactly what Nazis did to Jewish people. They're being cruel with the specific aim of driving Palestinians out of their homes and their land.
Did you get in response?
Nothing. For more than 3 years now. In May 23, I sent the first letter to the defense minister. Then it was Yoav Gallant still. And to the attorney general, the one that everybody likes to embrace as if...
Also, by the way, one of the most tragic things about that video is literally just watching a man sit there and have almost no reaction to a group of people coming into his house and smashing, like, his shop and just smashing the shit out of everything. And he's just sort of stood there.
She was the wonderful example of democracy, liberalism, and justice. And up till now, I haven't got any serious reply. The only reply I've got thus far was, yes, we sent it further, it's going to be taken care of.
Do you take that seriously?
Of course not. They don't do anything. Why do you think, that's of course a rhetoric question, it's not directed at you, but why one may think that this escalation goes further? Why this violence and terrorism by the states, again, using as proxy, the settlers as proxy, why do you think it continues for so many years? Why it escalates to the level of murdering Palestinians? Uda Adalin was murdered, and last week when I participated in the ceremony, a very peaceful, respectful ceremony to commemorate him, so the occupation forces came and tried to disperse it. And the excuse was that the ceremony was to commemorate a terrorist. He was murdered by a settler when his 3-year-old kid was on his shoulders. He was shot down, dead. And this escalation goes on.
Someone had some article, I think it was in some Israeli outlet, that's like, what you should speak about is Palestinian restraint. Like, all of these people act as if Palestinians are somehow these just violent monsters. Look at the face of the restraint that they offer in the face of what is done to them.
Because nobody...
And of course, part of that is just terror, but...
wants and tries to stop it. I mean, on the level of the government.
I'm so sorry, we are out of time, but thank you so much for being with us here on Al Jazeera.
Also, by the way, we'll watch this commodification of Palestine video in a second, but I'm just going to go and pee, so give me, like, a minute or two. This isn't going to be a pee stream again, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. He's already demonetized. Wait, what? We demand... Oh, God, no, that's a ban. That's not even it.
The Wretched of the Earth is a foundational anti-colonial text written by psychiatrist and political philosopher Frantz Fanon, providing an in-depth critique of the dehumanizing effects of colonization on individuals and nations. While the core argument of his book is that colonialism can only be completely eradicated through violence, he also warns of the colonized bourgeoisie, the elite class within colonized societies who adopt the culture, values, and economic practices of the colonizer, an elite shaped and educated by Western institutions. Their immediate instinct becomes to seek validation and acceptance from the West, and in doing so, they become complicit in maintaining colonial structures, acting in favor of the systems and agendas of the colonizer rather than advancing the liberation of their own people. Back in January, a friend of mine posted an article on her Substack, Ta'bir Tala, where she made the link between Frantz Fanon's colonized bourgeoisie and mainstream Palestinian activism. As she says, quote, "Today what persists is performing the aesthetic of Palestine, where Palestine exists not as a political and material reality, but as a collection of symbols, images, and cultural markers. Now, as a child of the diaspora, I can understand how it maintains our connection to the land. However, I can't help but think that this performance feels staged and disingenuous. It does not account for the lived reality of occupation. While Palestine is undeniably beautiful, it is also occupied. Aestheticizing Palestine risks reducing it to symbolism while erasing the violence and material conditions of colonial domination." And although she does not explicitly...
The video is still a bit quiet. Okay, right, I'll turn it up. Apologies. Oh, wait, this will probably help too. Hold on, I'll turn it up.
Name anyone in her article, many Arab celebrities and public figures came to mind upon reading this segment.
Bro, I wouldn't include Nas Daily in there. Nas Daily is Nas Daily is a little bit different to the others.
Particularly Saint Levant. A few days ago, as of making this video, Palestinian rapper Shab Jdeed released a diss track.
To be fair, Saint Levant did rap with the guy who wrote Utrub Tel Aviv. I don't know if you know this. His name's Shadi Barini.
I love burgers!
Barini. Utrub Tel Aviv. Hey, Phoenix, subscribed at tier 1. They've been subscribed for 2 months, currently on a 2-month streak. Happy to be here. Love your work. Been watching you on YouTube since you started. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, as always. That is incredibly kind. Thank you for the 2 months. Goated. And yeah, just incredibly kind. Shadi Barini, Saint Levant. They wrote a song together. They did a song, Daluna, which is actually an alright song.
Track in which he criticizes Saint Levant's superficial representation of the Palestinian struggle to appeal to Western optics of solidarity. Although many people are calling out this drama as some petty feud over concert dates or them trying to recreate a Kendrick versus Drake drama, I think
Shab Jdeed. What is the Shab Jdeed diss track of Saint Levant? I haven't even heard about this. I'm not very clued up. What is Shab Jdeed's where can I find this? SLV Shab Jdeed lyrics. It's all in Arabic. Is there a translation? Translation. Okay, this seems kind of hard to find, like an instantaneous one. Are any of you familiar with this?
there is a deeper truth that Shab Jdeed is criticizing in his track, which is how distant Saint Levant and other individuals in the region and diaspora are from the Palestinian struggle, and how promoting aestheticized symbols does not equate liberation, and instead flattens the cause on the global stage. Saint Levant is part of what Frantz Fanon would call the colonized bourgeoisie. Although he is Palestinian and spent part of his childhood in Gaza, he is mixed race and holds a French passport. He attended one of the most prestigious American schools in Amman, where he was basically surrounded by the local Jordanian Ammani elite. And I know this because I was also part of that bubble in Amman, and I went to an international French school there, and it was definitely a very privileged and isolated bubble. You're basically surrounded by the kids of diplomats, ambassadors, UN officials, and the children of some of the richest and most influential people of the country. Shab Jdeed, on the other hand, is from the West Bank and is someone who actually lives under occupation. He was raised in Kafr Akkab, a densely populated working-class Palestinian neighborhood located on the northern edge of East Jerusalem, with his music reflecting his daily struggles as a Palestinian living in the occupied West Bank, such as...
I'm not that familiar with this guy. His music does actually sound very interesting. I've probably heard him before. There's a guy who takes amazing photographs in Jenin in the West Bank. I've forgotten his name. My friend has his book. It's just magnificent.
Dealing with Czech.
The name of the video is The Commodification of Palestine. Here you go.
Points, occupation, and restricted movement. And this contrast between these two artists directly echoes Frantz Fanon's analysis in The Wretched of the Earth, where he contrasts the colonized bourgeoisie, those who must perform solidarity, with those whose very existence constitutes the condition itself. He, the colonized bourgeoisie, turns into a kind of mimic man who nods his assent to every word by the people, transformed by him into an arbiter of truth. But the falah, the unemployed, and the starving do not lay claim to the truth. They do not say they represent the truth because they are the truth.
Okay, this video is very, very, very good. Like, this person is clearly very fucking intelligent.
Their very being. And today, this quote still rings true, not just regarding Saint Levant and Shab Bejdid, but on a broader level between us Arabs in the diaspora and those back home. On the one hand, we have the diaspora and the regional elites that are distant from the colonial struggle and violence, whose only connection to the struggle only exists through symbols and culture. And another group, those who are on the ground directly suffering from the violence, injustice, and oppression from colonialism with no escape. The difference between the colonized bourgeoisie and the colonized subjects, the difference between a Saint Levant and a Shab Bejdid is simply your privilege, whether that is through your wealth, your education, or your passport.
I remember this kind of stuff much more in Black Skin, White Masks, though, than Wretched of the Earth. But saying that, I read Wretched of the Earth about 5 years ago. I should probably reread it. I do really rate Fanon very highly. It's fantastic, you know. I think it's a magnificent piece of work. I really highly rate Psychoanalysis, as you guys know, and I think he's, why has she put Nas in here? I don't know why she's put Nas in here, but I assume Nas Daily would fit within this, but as a different category of person. Nas Daily is much more someone who is a member of the colonized elite and is someone who is like, you know, someone who Nas Daily is much more of a term which is barely developed in Orientalism and is developed by other people. I can't remember the name of the lady who developed. It's much more re-Orientalism, and it's what Alika Lebon does. And it's basically this thing where one of the things about the Orient in the concept of Orientalism is basically this unintelligible thing, and you need like a translator of it, and the translator of it is, you know, they place themselves as these kind of translators. It's where I suggest anyone, if they're reading more crit theory type stuff. Yeah, I think so. I bought about a year ago A Dying Colonialism, and what's Ami Césaire's book? His most famous one. I read most of that, and actually never finished it. I sat down and read most of it in one sitting and then never finished it. Really enjoyed it. I think Ami Césaire is a fantastic writer, and in my understanding and inspiration, I never read A Dying Colonialism. I probably should read it once I'm done with this bloody Hitler book.
And beyond the Palestinian cause, I also think that it might be a reason why us Arabs in the diaspora and the upper class westernized bubble in the Middle East gets so much hate from like the OG Arabs. It's because we're in our little colonized bourgeoisie bubble. The average Lebanese, Egyptian, Sudanese, Syrian, Palestinian, Jordanian, or Iraqi person is a living representation of neocolonialism. They are the truth in their very being. They face the hardships of war, occupation, poverty, inequality, brought on by Western imperialism with no foreign passport to escape or no proximity to Western conduct to assimilate into the imperial system. Their peace and survival is at
To be honest, one thing I will say about this video is something that's kind of hard to talk about in this sense of what she's talking about is this. I thought she was going to be critiquing like a wider pro-Palestine movement, but it's very specific thus far to like Arab culture, which is not necessarily something that I don't feel confident commenting on. But what am I really supposed to respond about? First of all, I'm not a diaspora Arab, let alone an Arab who lives in the Middle East. But this is very, very, very interesting work. Discourse on Colonialism, that's it. It's a very good book. Very, 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 very good book. Very good book. Except when Fanon goes into the psychic parts, those are really triggering and hard to read. I don't know. There's a great piece on Frantz Fanon and there's a great piece I've spoken about, which is about like the psychosexuality of colonization.
Mercy of whether or not greater powers choose to occupy, bomb, or crack down on their country, whether global currencies and markets will affect the economy in their country, which may impact their standard of life. And as this whole Saint Levant Shab Bejdid drama is going down, I've seen many people point out that Shab Bejdid is simply jealous of Saint Levant, and this diss track is just a jealous
I have never heard about Zizek talking about reorientalism. What does he talk about it in? The lady who I heard it from was Lisa Lau. Lisa Lau is the one who I've heard it from. My friend's actually a Palestinian sort of psychoanalyst. His name's you can check out his work if any of you are interested. I really rate it. I think he's a great guy as well. His name is Rami Ramile. He's a Lebanese Palestinian guy. He's currently running his new project is actually so fucking interesting. I actually would so highly recommend his new project. Hold on, the only disgusting thing I have to do here is go get it off LinkedIn. But he's doing this new project about solidarity with the Palestinian cause in like Western society, and it's like an interactive sort of like, it's called Palestine is Everywhere. It's amazing. It's like amazing. You can just click on shit, and it's like an archive of Palestinian solidarity from years ago. Because he told me about this, that it was stuff from basically he started talking to me about this in a long time ago, because he was like, oh yeah, there's this newspaper that disappeared that was about Palestine in the UK, like a Palestine solidarity thing. It's fantastic. Yeah, and Rami was a great guy. Like, I really, really rated him.
You know, petty feud, that he's just salty, and you know, it's just because they decided to have the concerts on the same day. And while these takes are definitely superficial,
wait, I don't think I'm being. Wait, am I being? Was I being stupid? I wasn't doing a bit. I was actually just shouting out my friend there.
I do think that there is some truth to that reasoning, just not in the way.
Yeah. Check it out. Rami's also a great guy. He's got a couple of articles which I've mentioned before, and I always thought that they were like way more interesting than a lot of takes about like just the instantaneous take of being like, yeah, an Israeli soldier's dead. Like, he talked a lot about modern psychology as turning Israel into a genocidal army into a morally injured one, and it's just about like the Israeli psyche, consequences of what they're doing, how they portray it in their, you know, in their lives. And I'd highly recommend anything you could find from him. He's got a couple of pieces in the New Arab. He's got a couple of pieces in, yeah, it's mostly in the New Arab or Mondo Vice or Merep.
Many people think it isn't like petty jealousy over like fame or clout. I think is a direct reaction to structural privilege. It's the frustration that comes from watching someone in proximity navigate the world so easily and effortlessly, being able to plan world tours while you are physically limited due to restricted movements, because one holds a foreign passport and the other does not. But what I think is interesting about this diss track is that it isn't entirely a diss track, since for half of the song, Shab Bijdid is basically reaching a hand out to Saint Levant and basically refers to him as a brother, and that despite their differences, he isn't trying to ostracize him, but to like call him back home. I don't think Shab Bijdid is hating on Saint Levant as a person. I don't think he's hating on Marwan Abdelhamid, the mixed diaspora.
I'm Diaspora, Survivor's Guilt in the Imperial Corps. Yeah, I know it's a very complex thing, especially with stuff going on in, you know, specifically in Lebanon right now. And thank you for the $2. I know how tough that must be, especially when your family are literally in parts that have been so deeply affected. Trust me, I hung out with a lot of Palestinians at university, and, you know, there's obviously such a different dynamic to the genocide for them and myself, where for me, it's like something that I've chosen to research and something that, you know, doesn't dominate every aspect of every single part of my life. You know, like, I interacted with people who aren't as interested in Palestine related stuff, which sucked, and I do less so now. But for people who are Palestinian, you can't really ever escape it. There's no escape. Or Lebanese or whoever, if you're from the region, there is no escape.
diaspora kid, but rather what he has come to represent as Saint Levant on the global stage. How the Western-centered capitalist system we live in presents an anti-colonial struggle as something palatable, aesthetic, and easy to consume. Something that Saint Levant has sort of agreed to play the role of, but also something that is much greater than Saint Levant, which is the fact that we still live in a world dominated by Western and colonial narratives. Back in November, I made a video about Huda Beauty and Saint Levant's Clementina campaign and how they used Palestinian symbolism out of context for a marketing campaign without fully understanding the meaning and history of the symbols they were using. And someone left a comment on that video that really stood out to me. Obviously, I don't think there was any ill intent in the campaign, but it just shows that we are so steeped in colonial mindsets that we can't even see where our blind spots begin. To which another user responded, "We're steeped in colonialism and capitalism. The two go hand in hand, and I don't know how we rid ourselves from either." And we see this exact same dynamic play out in who gets the spotlight and who gets silenced. For example, take an artist like Eliana, who, don't get me wrong, is incredibly talented, but I can't help but wonder whether her quick rise to fame on the global stage, like her opening for Coldplay's World Tour, or being the first Palestinian artist to open a FIFA World Cup ceremony and to be featured on the official FIFA World Cup soundtrack, is facilitated by her profile. Specifically the fact that she is undeniably white passing and, like Saint Levant, appeals to Western pop aesthetics. Now let's look at another Palestinian artist like Nemesis, a Palestinian singer who is a Muslim hijabi. Despite writing deeply moving anti-colonial pop, Nemesis was dropped by her record label simply for speaking out about Gaza. She was forced to rebuild her entire career independently because her presence refuses to conform to Western standards of palatability. And when you place artists like Eliana and
I do really like this girl's video. I will say she's fallen victim to the not perfect audio. I bet there's some person telling her like, "Oh, you got too close to your mic." Just allow it, guys. Allow us content creators to fiddle around with our microphones.
Nemesis side to side and look at them, you can see how selective the industry is in who gets to represent Palestine on the global stage. The global market wants Palestinian voices, but they want them filtered through a white adjacent lens. And so maybe the greater issue isn't whether or not these artists are deliberately selling out Palestine, but acknowledging the reality that we still live in a world that is driven by Western.
I think this is a question also around like acceptance of this, an acceptance of what is okay around Palestine, which is either that it's to talk about Israel in its fully genocidal colonial terms, in its evil, bigoted, horrendous treatment of Palestinians, or of a commodification as just a project that's like kumbaya, liberty, peace and freedom for everyone, or a confrontation of our entire system is entirely wrong, immoral, and just totally unacceptable. Like, that's the thing. Palestine is just part of a way wider nexus.
Colonial narratives and capitalistic agendas, meaning that in order to represent Palestine on the global stage, you must have some proximity to whiteness, or you must be willing to perform your Palestinianness to appeal to Western optics of solidarity. But in acting for this performance, part of their truth...
Wait.
Proximity to whiteness, or you must be willing...
I do feel like showing Palestina is interesting. Palestina was in Gaza. Palestina may have been well off in Gaza. She experienced the Gaza genocide and left. I don't know what the context of this is. I would be interested in knowing why Palestina's there. I don't really see Palestina post as much, or Mutaz, who were like very key figures early on who managed to get out, but I don't really know. This is, yeah. I don't know. Nah, the best Palestinian singer is the guy who like does that wedding rapping stuff. And also, you know who I think is a goated Palestinian musician who unfortunately was tortured for his music was oh my god, Riyad Awad. Riyad Awad's music is beautiful. It's magnificent.
To perform your Palestinianness to appeal to Western optics of solidarity. But in acting for this performance, part of their truth gets erased. In a way, Saint Levant and many of these other public figures are themselves victims of colonialism, as they are conditioned by the system to become more palatable, all while simultaneously causing harm to the very cause they aim to represent and advocate for. Over the past few years, Palestinian activism and resistance has transformed from an active anti-colonial struggle into curated curated aesthetic images and symbols designed for passive consumption on social media, or trendy items to be drop-shipped to your door, because the revolution will not be televised, but it will be sold to you as merchandise, accessories, and popular media. And this...
Some of the stuff included in there is, I guess this is just some of the choices, but like, yeah, the thing is just, and there's also just like the ethnic cleansing of Palestine.
Will be sold to you as merchandise.
To be fair, there is probably a criticism here of just a huge amount of the literature which dominates is stuff by like, you know, Khaledi's Palestinian, but it's also Ilan Pappé, who's not Palestinian, but his work is very good, so.
Accessories, and popular media. And this wouldn't be the first time a social or political movement.
Do you think we will reach a point in history where the genocide actually will get recognized? And if so, do you think it will happen in our lifetime? I think a reckoning will come with the concept of genocide. I do. I think that the scholarly opinion of genocide is so many leaps and bounds ahead of what the legal definition is. But saying that, I do think that there is a good chance that Israel's crimes are recognized as genocide by the ICJ. But even if it's not, I think already most people are starting to recognize what Israel did as a genocide.
And has been rebranded through marketing language and consumerism. The commodification of Palestine is no different from how corporations and influencers flatten feminism into girl boss feminism or I'm just a girl aesthetics, or how environmental activism gets reduced to corporate greenwashing, or how LGBTQ plus liberation gets co-opted into rainbow merch for the month of June. In every case, radicals...
To be fair, one thing I will say about that, I do find that like 100% like interesting, and like there's a point to be made there. What I will say is just I will always recommend, and this is a short video, it's not a long essay about pinkwashing. I would recommend Homo Zion just always. I will never stop recommending this piece. This is one of the greatest pieces of literature written about pinkwashing. All you fascist liberals, what's this one about? Inviting the enemy. Oh, Seamus, this is probably really good. This is Seamus Malik Zafali writing in about Iran. That's probably really good.
Struggle is stripped of its radical substance and sold back to us as a product. And the thing is, corporate optics and material action always exist in opposition to each other, because while a company or individual may appear to promote women or LGBTQ rights, they may also be funding political candidates that are actively harming these groups. While a corporation appears to care about the environment, they are actively contributing to its destruction. While a lot of these celebrities and public figures cheer Free Palestine, they still have financial ties to Israeli occupation. And I think one of the best examples of this is how Huda Kattan, the founder of Huda Beauty, has been championed over the past few years for her quote-unquote activism for Palestine. She is seen as this hero in the public eye, despite the fact that she continues to sell her products through retailers like Sephora, which is owned by LVMH, a luxury conglomerate with ties to Israel's blood diamond economy, and the owner of which...
Were you reading something and it was referenced? How did you find all of these resources, bro? As in those books, or the thing that I just recommended? My lecturer was friends with the author, Hussein Omar, and he was like, oh, you should check out this article. Hussein Omar has written some pretty good stuff as well. He's at Oxford. He's a very good academic, in my opinion. He's got some crazy posts on, I don't know if this is the same guy, but he has some, yes, this is him. He has some sort of intriguing posts on his Instagram, which I'll say they're pretty explicit, but, he is in incredible shape, though, so fair play to him, but pretty explicit posts, which I'm most definitely not showing on my stream. But yeah, he's an academic who writes just beautifully. Just beautifully. I just think Homo Zion is one of the greatest pieces written.
Bernard Arnault has investments in Israeli cybersecurity infrastructure which supports Israeli military intelligence. Not only that, but in February 2025, Huda Beauty sold the...
I think that the thing is as well, like with Huda Beauty, I do appreciate that, you know, people could make this criticism of me of like, why do you do Spotify related content? Why do you do YouTube related stuff? Why would you do TikTok related stuff? And it's like, because I don't have an ability to do this myself. Huda Beauty could make an amount of money that for most human beings in their entire lifetime would just be more than pretty much 99% of the world does by just selling her products entirely independently. She could just do that entirely by herself. By the way, this is not Huda from Love Island. You know that, right? But I think that the thing is, is that ultimately Huda Beauty could just do this herself. She has so much money. Like she could just do this herself. Like, you don't need to be doing this.
Shares of her sister's fragrance company, Kayali, to General Atlantic, an investment firm with ties to Israeli tech companies and US defense companies. And so while she screams Free Palestine from her Instagram and TikTok, she has in fact done nothing to free Palestine from within her own company. And the truth is, this hypocrisy that we see with Huda Beauty's brand activism isn't very different from how some of us perform activism in regards to Palestine, particularly activism on social media. We might believe that we made a difference by reposting, sharing, or liking something about Palestine. However, while doing so, we are quite literally feeding the AI algorithms and big tech companies that are enabling death and destruction in Gaza in the first place. Based on Frantz Fanon's definition,
I love burgers! Arguyable, thank you for the gifted membership. Incredibly kind. Madbox NC, enjoy the gifted membership. Thank you for supporting the channel. Incredibly kind. Thank you. The best Arab in the world is Walid. Who is that? Was he a member of... He's a member of some liberation organization. Was he the member of the PLO? Or was he a part of the... he's part of the Lebanese Socialist Party? I know his name. I do think, by the way, I think obviously as individuals freeing Palestine and all of this stuff is like, what's the other one? The other one is Homo Zion. I think that one of the things that like this should provoke you towards is just go and like read about Palestine. Go and learn more about the world. Go and understand like more about what's going on. It's so important. And if this is a starting point, I think that this is fantastic. With like a TikTok and whatever, and people will be appreciative of you knowing more and understanding more and trying to convince people of different politics.
I am technically part of the colonized bourgeoisie, and most likely so are you. But so was Fanon himself, who was raised within the elite colonial upper class.
To be fair, Fanon was also doing shit that, like, if you did today, you would be killed for. and if he'd been caught, he probably would have been caught. But I believe that Fanon sheltered FLN fighters, right? If I remember correctly. Is that made up or is that wrong?
In Martinique. He attended a lycée français, which is a French school, where he was assimilated into French culture, much like my own experience at the French school in Jordan. And during World War II, Fanon left Martinique to join France to fight the Nazis in Europe, because he believed that he was fighting for universal freedom alongside his French brothers. And it is through this experience that he discovered that troops were strictly segregated by race, and that black soldiers...
Also, if there's one man who deserved to live longer and had his life taken away so short, it would be Mr. Frantz Fanon. No, I know he worked directly with them, but didn't he shelter them as well? Like, I think he sheltered FLN fighters or something to that effect. Frantz Fanon sheltered FLN fighters. That's it. Verso, Frantz Fanon, shelter. Where is it? Okay, after the War of Independence broke out, Fanon came into contact with Algerian fighters and began providing medical and psychiatric aid, as well as shelter to the freedom fighters. See you later, Crystal. Receiving a delivery. Enjoy that. Who doesn't love receiving a... So what should be done for Palestine activism? I think, truthfully, the individual thing... I do think one of those things... By the way, I got into a little argument with someone who I actually kind of like about that All Eyes on Rafah thing, because I was kind of like... My position and my opinion was, if you make videos about Palestine-related stuff, you probably shouldn't say, like, yeah, oh, but sharing that... or that there's other stuff you could be sharing. Like, yeah, sharing the news and stuff is better than sharing All Eyes on Rafah AI image. 100% true. All of the crimes in Gaza, better to share that, 100%. But people who are like parts of Palestine Action don't tend to admonish those who don't participate. Obviously, it's an illegal, evil terror organization these days. But I think that the thing is teaching people and convincing those around you to understand Palestine in the way that you do is one of the important things that you do have an ability to do. You do have that ability. You do have that ability to teach and tell people that the way that we live and the system under which we live is wrong, and that can change. And even if you don't change the world, at least you change that person's mind. At least you made someone think differently about something that is so fundamental to have to change.
Soldiers from the colonies were treated as inferior soldiers and not as equals, breaking the illusion of French.
I know no one from Palestine Action because it's an evil fucking terror organization.
Quality that was ingrained to him during his school years. After the war, Fanon stayed in France to study medicine and psychiatry at the University of Lyon, which again was a path that was really only reserved for the colonial elite. And later on, after coming to the realization that he can't escape the colonial systems that he was born into, the colonial systems that is perpetuating harm to colonized peoples, he resigned from his post and joined the FLN in Algeria and edited the FLN underground newspaper El Mujahids. And his journey shows that being part of this class does not mean that you're...
It's not illegal here, hey.
Damned to perpetuate neo-colonial agendas. You can make choices that lead to genuine liberation, but stepping out of the systems that reward you is much easier said than done. And being able to...
That AI image was really disgusting, was fucking atrocious. It's really disgusting to have an adverse reaction to sharing the imagery of Palestinians in Gaza, but be so cozy with a generated slot machine that actively erases the reality. Yeah. My point was never that I was just like, look, I'm not gonna, as a creator, I don't know if it's my place to call people out for what they share. Like, I do appreciate it that people could share better things, but I don't even remember what my take was. This was like 2 years ago. Maybe it was a bit dog shit. But I guess I was kind of, in my opinion, I was just like, I'm not gonna, if people, actually I was kind of like, explain to people why it's not great. Don't just be like, oh my God, look how much better I am at Palestine activism than you. I think that was my take, if I remember correctly, of like, oh, I'm the superior one because I share videos. I don't feel superior to people who share that. I think that they should learn and you should educate them about what might actually be better to share, talk about and learn, and why that sharing an image saying all eyes on Rafah is not the be all and end all of what it means to care about Palestine and to share something. There are plenty of people, you know, so many of the most important journalists were alive at that point, and you could be sharing their content.
Renounce a privilege in the first place is itself a privilege. But the first step of action that I think a lot of us struggle to take is fully acknowledging our own positioning within these systems of capitalism and colonialism.
This lady might be an evil Maoist. She's encouraging self-reflection, guys. We might need to have a chat about this.
We benefit from them and at what cost. While it's easy for us to point the finger at corporations and celebrities, we are also to blame for the commodification of Palestine because every product requires a consumer. The reality is that most...
I really like this video. It's just sometimes some of the stuff that appears just feels a bit different. Like, books about Palestine feel different to, you know, like just something that you wear. But even then, I suppose one of the things about wearing a keffiyeh in certain places is you can actually produce a reaction out of people and annoy them, which is saying something that they're annoyed over it.
Most of us are more interested in engaging with Palestine as a consumerist trend rather than in a way that makes a meaningful difference. Because buying products marketed as pro-Palestine is much easier than taking the time and energy to study histories of colonialism and how we benefit from it today and how to...
I think something I'm going to read is speaking of colonial history, something that's been weighing heavy on my mind is Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I'm very, very, very interested in reading that kind of book. I'm really incredibly interested in it.
Stripped it from within. I am producing content about Palestine and you are consuming it. Over the past few weeks, I've been a teaching assistant for students in Gaza, and in discussion with these students, I've come to realize just how polished the Palestinian cause has become and just how little we truly understand about the Palestinian struggle. These students don't perform being Palestinian. They do not say they represent the truth because they are the truth in their very being. And if our solidarity only exists when Palestine is packaged into something soft and beautiful, then we have confused aesthetic visibility with liberation and consumption.
Also, occasionally, wait.
Soft and beautiful.
Occasionally the stuff that is flicked through
confused aesthetic
is kind of crazy because is that George Habash? Like, I really do like this person's, and it's such a minute criticism. But sometimes the stuff she flicks through is just like, that's a video of George Habash, right? It might not be Habash. I don't know, but it's like that one might say that that's a different kind of education.
Aesthetic visibility with liberation and consumption with solidarity. And before ending this video, I would again like to clarify that I acknowledge that I am aware that all of the criticisms that I brought up in these videos can also be applicable to myself. I am also...
She's doing it. She's doing it. She's doing the self-criticism.
Half white and white passing. I also grew up in a very privileged bubble, and in making these videos for my channel, I have learned through the engagement I receive from audiences worldwide that even I am intellectually constrained by the limits of my upbringing and my identity. But the cool thing about social media is that the information can go both ways. So when I do make a mistake or when I am limited, someone...
I love this. I think my only criticism is first of all, I was expecting this to be more about kind of the stuff that I've done, but it's not really the stuff that I've done. And by the way, that's not like I was expecting there to be more of a criticism that I could participate in and comment in. But in terms of this, it's much more related to, you know, Palestinian, well, Arabs in the diaspora and but it's very interesting.
Can point it out and we can all learn from it. And despite all of these criticisms on how Palestine is represented by some of these figures, I do think that the world is still better off with these flawed expressions than without them, because it is still a form of Arab and Palestinian representation. Many people believe that Saint Levant can't be a lover boy pop artist and represent Palestine, or that...
By the way, the only thing I will say as well, Abdul Razak Takriti tells this story on The Dig. There was some guy who was just like a Lebanese politician who was just so handsome and such a good communicator that the Israelis killed him. If we were talking years ago and Saint Levant was still operating inside of Israel, Israel would have had him. They would have gone mental. They would have hated this guy. My man simply through existence is upsetting Israelis.
Eliana can't be dancing on stage and wearing a kufiye. But obviously that is not true, and I think that these elements can coexist with one another. It just hasn't landed yet in a way that has...
I will say, one major shift is, it does kind of feel like now it is socially much more acceptable for people to wear Palestine-related stuff on stage than it is for people to like fly an Israeli flag. People would get more pissed about that.
Produced a meaningful...
Was it Ghassan Kanafani? Because it didn't look like Kanafani in the video. I'll see if I can find it. Hold on. Wait, it's there, I think. Is that Kanafani? That doesn't look like Kanafani. I think that's Habash. I don't think that's Kanafani. I really... You guys keep accusing me of getting this wrong. I don't think that... Look what Kanafani looked like and tell me that's him. I don't also know any interview that could be from. I've not seen all Kanafani media, but that doesn't look like Kanafani in that video. It looks more like George Habash interview. I can't show this because it's an AP News thing and they'll do me in for it. They'll have me. But it looks like... Oh, it's Habash. It's 100% Habash. Look. Look at the photos he's in front of. That's definitely George Habash there. It's just a strange angle of it. That's Habash. That's Habash. Yeah, Kanafani was killed very young, wasn't he? All Liverpool supporters, oh God, mate. The only thing I feel about like football related discourse is like no one should support any club, unfortunately. It really does suck. Yeah, it is Habash. It's not, oh, Chris, it's and by the way, you asked about the Netanyahu disarmament thing. We kind of covered it over a few days, but yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to cover today, quickly, is... It was a pretty dodgy stream, and I hope you guys don't mind. But the main thing that I wanted to cover is there is actually something pretty major going on with the Islamic Republic.
Meanwhile, Iran.
something is afoot pretty evidently. They've just appointed a ton of hardliners, maybe you would use the term. Like, yeah. Oh, finish her video. Shit, of course we didn't. Shit, sorry. We will finish her video. Sorry, and then we'll talk about it. Sorry, there's only like a couple of minutes left.
Is represented by some of these figures, I do think that the world is still better off with these flawed expressions than without them, because it is still a form of Arab and Palestinian representation. Many people believe that Saint Levance can't be a lover boy pop art.
I actually talked to Abdul Razak Takriti, by the way, about this, about like using Google and stuff, and he was like, it's a tough thing of like, you know, if you're using it for some good, it's like, it's unfortunate, because where could I stream? Kick? Kick's probably less affiliated with Israel, right? Oh no, I didn't mention the weirdness with Air Force One. We'll actually talk about that. That Air Force One story is fucking insane.
Artist and represent Palestine, or that Eliana can't be dancing on stage and wearing a kufiye. But obviously that is not true, and I think that these elements can coexist with one another. It just hasn't landed yet in a way that has produced a meaningful impact for the cause. And even if these representations are flawed, their existence is what enables us to have discussions about these topics in the first.
I mentioned the Libya stuff. I asked my friend is actually a journalist who works on Libya. He runs something called the Libya Gazette, or he's deeply involved in it. So I said, also, who is blowing up these refineries in Libya? He responded, probably Mohammed Bahroun's militia, but it's not being confirmed. I don't even know who Mohammed Bahroun is. He also mentioned that one of Haftar's top guys was assassinated last night. I mentioned that earlier. And then it was by a car bomb in central Benghazi, and he was like, if it was in Tripoli, it wouldn't be serious, but in Benghazi, it's very serious. It's not evident who's done any of this as of yet, so it's quite hard to point to, but someone is blowing up oil refineries inside of Libya, basically, and no one really knows who.
Place and enable change within our communities. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like.
This is this lady runs a great channel, and I will highly recommend her. What do you do when the world is falling apart? How the Arab music scene is changing. The Real Mean Girl, Al-Rawabi. June and Environmental Orientalism. Wow. Why is Bashar al-Assad a meme? Because he has got a funny face. OF is the most moral streaming platform. I saw someone who was advertising marmots on OnlyFans, but interesting one.
Appointed 6 senior military commanders to new positions. They include Ali Abdullahi, who becomes Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces. So he's the military chief of Iran now. Ahmed Vahidi, who takes up the role of Commander-in-Chief of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Hossein Taib, who is now head of the Basij paramilitary force. Earlier, the former chief of the IRGC, Mohsen Rezai, was appointed as Khamenei's new representative to the Supreme National Security.
Could Libya stuff be Russia or Ukraine? Well, the reason it wouldn't be... I don't think it's Ukraine. I don't think it's Russia in the sense of Russia is sided with Russia is a key backer of Haftar in Libya. So Russia backs Haftar, and I don't know if Ukraine has the ability or the reach to be assassinating someone in Benghazi. I really don't know if they have the reach to get there. So that's a question. Oh, the Kevin Anderson interview. Is that the climate one? Thanks for the 2200. I know I was saying that I'm not the biggest Navarro fan, but I'm sure it's interesting. And yeah, I'm aware OF is horrible. By the way, a lot of people have been talking about it. It was a joke. I apologize for just reading it out and not the rest of the context. But the other thing is, yeah, they were talking about, rock marmots. I know what a rock marmot is, because a marmot is an animal that some guy in Mongolia ate not long ago, and it gave him the bubonic plague. So don't eat marmots if you see any.
Council. Let's break this down with Mustafa Khoshcheshem, who is a professor at the University of Applied Sciences in Tehran. And you're joining us, Mustafa, from the Iranian capital. For people who try to decipher the inner workings of the Iranian security and political establishment. What do these appointments mean?
Hello, thanks for having me. Well, all these appointments are pointing in one direction, that Iran is going on the offensive. Actually, Iran is thinking that the United States is not serious about negotiations, and similar to what has been happening in the last 1 year, that we've been in talks 3 times and they've bombed us.
So it's pretty interesting to hear some Iranian analyst guy talk about this. By the way, sorry, just to prove the marmot thing, I wasn't making it up. Mongolian couple die of bubonic plague after eating marmot. Do not go anywhere near marmots. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty evident that Iran doesn't think that they're taking this seriously, at all. Except Mohsen Rezai have these jobs for the last 6 months after start of war and assassination of their predecessor. But this is the formalization of it, right? Thank you for that information, Mahdi.
And when we arrived actually at an MOU, the Islamabad MOU, they violated it. So Tehran's calculations apparently show that Donald Trump is thinking of a full-fledged war, maybe in coming weeks or months. So Iran is preparing itself. If you just take a look at the 6 commanders, they are actually known to favor offensive strategies, from Mohsen Rezai to Ahmad Vahidi to Deputy Chief of Staff Qamar.
It's probably just a regional accent from Iran. I don't know where it would be from. I really don't know where it would be from. I'm not enough of an expert on this.
Haidari and others. So in the presence of Major General Mohsen Rezai, who has been the commander of all these other commanders that were appointed today, he has never been shy of saying that Iran should go, more powerful and should resist and should go on, should have a more active strategy. And he is known as a high-esteemed person who is very much respected by everyone from the political to the military circles, and he has the way and power, and he knows everything about Iran's military and politics and economy in order to start a new strategy for the country.
Professor, if you'd allow me to jump in, what's the most important name among these 6 appointments? Would it be fair to say that Ahmad Vahidi, who's the new head of the IRGC, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, would be the most powerful of all those appointments?
I should say Mohsen Rezai, because Ahmad Vahidi, Taib, and all others, they have been serving under Mohsen Rezai, and Mohsen Rezai carries much more weight. He started the IRGC. He is known for developing so many of these, organs under the IRGC, so many forces.
Do you think we are already in World War III, but the penny has not dropped yet for us normies? That is an interesting question. I think that the thing is that when it comes to, the concept of like us being in World War III, I don't think Trump has the ability nor the balls to get involved in it to the point that he needs to, okay? I think that what he really wants, what he can and can't do, is he can continue sanctioning Iran, but he evidently cannot beat Iran. There is evidently no way that he has any ability to actually fight against Iran. Because he can't get their nuclear weapons, he can't open the he can't open the Strait of Hormuz, so he either surrenders or destroys the global economy. And I think surrender is the more likely of the 2 options.
of the IRGC. He was the architect, actually, and he started everything. That's why everyone believes that now we also should wait for a restructuring of the security and military apparatus under the new arrangement to be led by the Supreme National Security Council, as well as top, chief of staff. So from the viewpoint of the military and security, everyone is waiting major restructuring and enhancement. But from the viewpoint of your question, about Ahmad Vahidi, it's interesting to note that the Iranian Supreme Leader's decree says that he expects the
problem for Trump is, and I don't know, basically, in terms of, if you follow, basically, Trump has very much fallen into the problem that Hitler had of, Hitler started to believe that he was the only person that was ever going to be able to do the things that he wanted to do and had visions of. It's pretty evident that Trump does seem to believe that there is no real successor to him, that he is MAGA. I mean, he's said stuff like this. But the thing is I mentioned this the other day, Trump scored a massive victory in Venezuela. He did. It sucks for Venezuela 100%. It's absolutely not a victory for Venezuelan people. There is no argument of that. The existence of Venezuelans sucks as a result of what Trump did. But Trump scored a very swift victory in the same way Hitler did with the Anschluss, in the same way that Hitler did initially with the remilitarization of the Rhineland. Now, he went too far in the same way that Hitler did with Czechoslovakia. Hitler even got what he wanted there, which was ostensibly the Sudeten Germans. Trump ostensibly had what he wanted, which was the degradation of the Iranian nuclear facility. But then as a result of a bit of cooing by Netanyahu and Trump's hubris that he was going to win, he went into Iran in what is quite possibly one of the dumbest wars imaginable that has now morphed from regime change into an event where Trump is now trying to get the Strait of Hormuz open and to wrestle it out of Iranian control. Because Iran had talked big previously about taking the Strait of Hormuz and they never did it, okay? But now they've done it and they're not giving it back. And they're not surrendering and capitulating. And it's pretty evident that they've changed their position to look much better than it was months ago. Objectively, they've gone from a position of a very untenable status quo with massive economic issues and no popular support. And now look at this. To give this man credit. Yeah, Lindsey Graham did help. Lindsey Graham was doing the Netanyahu stuff. He was helping with it.
IRGC, the new IRGC chief, to go on for continued and all-out enhancement of capabilities for the sake of maximum deterrence, and also for smart preparedness for exercising powerful offensive operations against
so he's
the
telling
enemy.
them to be ready for war. He's telling the Revolutionary Guard to be ready for, as you say, quote, offensive action. With this new group of leaders in the security field for the armed forces, the IRGC, and the Supreme National Security Council, will they push?
It's definitely the problem is Trump thought Iran was going to collapse, and Lindsey Graham, you're right. We all saw that documentary of Lindsey Graham saying it was going to collapse, that it was, awful. Who's going to be Trump's USSR? What, the thing that crushes him? Trump doesn't have total power. That's the thing as well. Trump has no total power. Trump is nowhere near as powerful as Adolf Hitler. Trump has appointed, sure, a ton of, fucking idiots in to head up the military who are more loyal to him than they are to actual American interests, and that's how we've got here. But the thing is he doesn't have total power over the military. The American military is probably far too decentralized in comparison to what the, and he had that conflict with the head of the Navy, right? Do you remember around the start of the Iran war, and he sacked him? Trump is not like the controller of everything as well. He has other things to contend with. He has political opponents that Hitler got rid of. So there are differences, but it's kind of analogous what you see as, you know, who and what he is. He's also, by the way, obsessed with Lebensraum, if you wanted another thing, and also obsessed with purging American society of the undesirables who've ruined it, i.e. Somalis, non-white people.
Iran in a different direction from what we've seen in the last 5 months of war?
I believe there will be major changes. The strategy has been resistance in order to push back the United States and to make it exhausted. Iran didn't embark on preemptive strikes unless for the past 1 month. In the past 1 month, we have witnessed at least 2 instances of such preemptive measures that deterred U.S. all-out airstrikes on Iran. So it seems that Iranians' evaluation shows that they need to be more offensive, go for more preemptive strikes, and give much more powerful responses to any U.S.
Yeah, Trump, though, U.S. foreign policy is uniparty, but he is risking completely destroying his own political party's power, and he does receive pushback, you know, from people. And as well, his position isn't quite as desperate as Hitler's eventually became for, like, never-ending territorial conquest.
Attack. I see this new team of commanders.
And Trump also, by the way, has a global power that can totally obliterate his economy, which I don't really think Hitler had as much.
Very coherent team.
Maybe he did. Maybe someone would make that argument.
To be operating very cohesively under a new strategy, war strategy. This doesn't mean that Iran is going to attack the United States offhand with no reason. No, but this means that Iran is going to develop the military capabilities for preemptive strikes and for much more powerful strikes on the United States. So, on the U.S. positions, especially, and military forces in the region. So, I believe that Iranians are getting ready for an all-out war against the United States and pounding U.S. military forces in the...
By the way, just something to say, if this guy is on television, he is someone who is going to be saying probably along the lines of what the kind of, you know, the US government might want to be said. Of what the Iranian government would want to be said. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there is truth to that. But maybe there's not so much truth to that, and it's just posturing and saber rattling.
The region with maximum power.
A more offensive-minded leadership for Iran's security establishment.
Mr. Mustache read books, though, and ate decently. That is somewhat true, yes, he did read books, but he also... You know what is another funny parallel between Trump, and also you could include Lindsey Graham in this. So you had Trump and Hitler. The concept of government under the Hitler regime was fucking insane. The guy was just doing whatever. Like, during the period where Europe almost descended into war, and did eventually in the end of 38 and the start of 39, Hitler was just not there. He was just, like, doing whatever. He was, like, on holiday. He was, like, touring Germany. He was watching films, waking up late.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Elephant fish. Wow. 6 months. If we'd been together that long in real life, we would be in a strong relationship. And I appreciate you, my man. Thank you for 6 months. China is the end goal for the US. How do you mean? As in the end goal of the country to fight with, I'm guessing. Do we have any reliable info on the negotiations? I believe there is no such thing going on. Nah, there is negotiations happening right now, but they're happening between Oman and they're happening between Oman and Iran. That's who the negotiations are happening between. Also, there are claims that a UAE flight was in Iran today, so I don't know. Also, what book am I reading? I've been reading this fucking Kershaw Hitler book for ages. I'm getting towards the end of it, but I only read it at night. I normally just read articles and stuff about what's going on in the world, listen to podcasts during the day, so I tend not to be powering through a book at the moment, but I'm sort of changing that. I've started reading in the mornings again, before I start work.
Across the board, you explain. That's Professor Mustafa.
The other person that I wanted to hear from is, first of all, there was a Press TV thing about this, and it's like a history of Rezai.
Commander of the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, a veteran commander of the Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, and one of the most prominent military figures of the Islamic Republic, Rezai has spent more than 5 decades at the heart of Iran's political, security, and military establishment.
Oh, the title of the book is just Hitler. That's all its title. I've been reading it for ages. I powered through the first half of the book quite quickly, and then I've just been stagnating because I don't always read at night. But yeah, it's also it's yeah, I have just been reading that, and then I read random shit. The other day I was reading all these torture reports and then some of Stanley Cohen's book, which Elab sent to me, which I'm grateful for.
From fighting against the Pahlavi regime as a young underground activist to commanding the IRGC throughout the 8-year war imposed in the 1980s and later serving as Secretary of the Expediency Council, he has held some of the country's most consequential positions. In 1981, at the young age of 26,
I would be really interested to know how veterans of fighting in the war against the fighting in the war against Iraq are held in Iranian society. Yeah, if you want to read about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, I've only ever read one book about it, and it's Marek Edelman's The Ghetto Fights. It's really short, if I remember correctly. It's also just available online. It's 79 pages. Yeah. Socialist Stories has it. I've read The Ghetto Fights. That's the only book I've ever read about the Warsaw Uprising, the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
Rezai was appointed Commander-in-Chief of the IRGC by Imam Khomeini. He remained in the position until 1997, becoming the IRGC's longest-serving commander. His tenure coincided with the most intense years of the 8-year imposed war on Iran by Iraq's Ba'athist regime, led by Saddam Hussein.
By the way, I do like this. So Press TV is an Iranian channel, right? But I like how they call it the imposed war. Initially, it definitely was an imposed war, but that discursive trick is done for a specific reason of that reason is done for a specific that thing is done for a specific reason of maintaining the notion of later on many Iranians or Khomeini made the decision to continue it, which in many ways ended up being a mistake because they were unable to displace Saddam, and it cost so much fighting over territory pointlessly. On the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, I thought that was what someone asked for. Someone said the Warsaw Ghetto is different to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. But someone asked for the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, not the Warsaw Uprising.
During his years at the helm of the IRGC, Rezai was also associated with the establishment and expansion of several of the force's major institutions, including Imam Hussein University, the Khatam al-Anbiya Construction Headquarters, and Baqiyatullah University of Medical Sciences. He also played a role in the development of the IRGC's 3 military branches and the establishment of the Quds Force. In 1997, following his departure from the IRGC command, he was appointed Secretary of the Expediency Council by the martyred leader of the Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei. He held the position for more than 2 decades. During this period, he became involved in long-term economic and strategy policy making, including working on Iran's 20-year National Vision document.
Also, capitalism just doesn't work without immigrants is the major thing of the 21st century. It's so evident that it doesn't. Nothing about America works without immigrants, but yet, it's Oh, I hate immigrants. Oh, let's discuss how much we all hate immigrants. And that's all fucking people in American and European society want to talk about. That is literally all they ever want to talk about. It was an imposed war and Saddam used chemical weapons. Oh, I don't doubt, by the way, the evil nature of Saddam. I don't know. It's your prerogative as well to talk about it. You're Iranian. I've read one book about the Iran-Iraq war. One book written not by an Iranian. But the thing is that when it comes to like afterwards, I don't know what your opinion is, but after they drove, because it was very successful, they drove, Saddam out of Iran, and they had every right to do that. It's just after that, it became like a really long grinding war without much success, right? And in many ways, it wasn't like, I don't know how positively that would be viewed inside of Iran, especially because the main goal of they were like, did they used to say the road to Jerusalem runs through Baghdad, as in that they would basically get rid of Saddam Hussein? Not Iranian, I'm Iraqi. Most Iranians I know hated Saddam, but no, the Iraq invasion was foreshadowing of what was to come to Iran and the rest of the region. Yeah. I mean, I know that 100%. Like, most Iranians would be well aware of that. Especially, by the way, because Iran, after the September 11th attacks, extended a hand to the United States and literally collaborated with them because they shared an interest in getting rid of the Taliban from one of their borders. So, and they got nothing in return. They were treated like they were the most evil savages ever because they cannot demand their rights without risking deportation. Yep, 100%. Yep, it's especially undocumented. Didn't Ray send you some stuff? I don't recall now. That must have been a while ago. But I think you did, Ray, send me some stuff about the Warsaw Ghetto and the Warsaw Uprising.
And foreign investment policies and the implementation of Article 44 of the Constitution. He also entered electoral politics, running for parliament in Tehran in 1999 and later contesting Iran's presidential elections 4 times. In August 2021, then-President Ebrahim Raisi appointed Rezai as his Vice President for Economic Affairs, Secretary of the Supreme Council of Economic Coordination, and Secretary of the government's economic headquarters. In March 2026, Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Khamenei, the third leader of the Islamic Revolution, appointed Rezai as his military advisor. Now, with his appointment as Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Rezai
It's also because white people probably tend to get married older, if I was to take a guess. That's one of the reasons that Orthodox people in Israel have, and also because of observation of purity laws, but one of the family purity laws, I think they're called Nidah. But anyway, one of the reasons that Orthodox people tend to have way more kids in Israel is because they get married way younger and they plan to have kids way younger. Whereas in, knowing the people I know, I'm 25 years old. Basically, none of my friends or close personal friends have kids at my age, and I can't see any of them having kids in the foreseeable future until maybe their 30s. So, and especially not marrying.
Turns to one of the Islamic Republic's most sensitive strategic posts, bringing with him decades of experience spanning revolutionary struggle, military command, wartime strategy, intelligence, economic policy making, and the highest levels of Iran's political establishment.
Very interesting stuff unfolding in Iran then. Okay, right, we'll finish up with this dumbass. Have any of you, I'm sure some of you have seen this fucking Trump story. It's insane to say the least. Yeah, basically, oh God. By the way, Trump was on, by the way, before we get into this, Trump was in some, yeah, that's what the family purity laws are, the Nida. You're not allowed to spill seed without purpose. So you can't even crank it if you're an Orthodox Jewish person. In fact, I believe they're actually meant to cut one of your hands off. It's one of their core values. Yeah, that's what the family purity laws are, that you're not allowed to spill seed in name of, that isn't for procreation, really.
I've seen proof of it, where they have a vaccination thing, looks like the size of a bottle of soda, poured into a little child's body, and bad things happen in many cases.
Okay, you got to admit, once he's gone, who will replace him as the man that provides never-ending entertainment and telling us that children are having bottles of soda poured into their arms?
In too many cases, because this is an explosion. This is an epidemic. So at year 1, you should have 5 separate visits for vaccines rather than giving them all in the same day.
This is just a ploy to make money, isn't it? This is 100% a ploy to make money, forcing children to go get vaccinated 5 times as opposed to 1. It's just straight up a ploy to make money, is it not?
Very importantly, vaccinations. I saw this early on, and I've seen.
Someone said, I saw people talking about this. Someone said that he must just be watching AI slop all day, because what on earth are you talking about? A bottle of Coke-sized vaccine? People are also claiming that, I mean, Trump was asleep yesterday.
More than a year ago, where we funded a dozen and more major research teams to answer the question of what is the cause of autism. It's a complicated biological phenomenon. It's not going to be a simple answer. It will have, as actually more than a year ago.
Unbelievable that this man is the president of the most powerful country in the world. I really can't understand how the US entered into the most moronic invasion. Perhaps the best argument against, the best argument against Israel being the reason is that Trump is genuinely moronic. Trump is, like, genuinely one of the dumbest people ever in the world. And also, he is... Well, he's not. That's not true. That's an exaggeration. But he's also fucking asleep half the time. And then he has all of these sycophants. Who remembers when Marco Rubio was like... I was about to do the kind of accent that would have got me cancelled. Because he does not have like an accent. So apologies for that. Apologies for even thinking that. That's what Woke 1.0 has done to a man. He's not even allowed to think about mocking Marco Rubio. Although I realised that it would have just been probably not very funny. But I can't really do a Marco Rubio voice, so I'll just do like a whiny one. Actually, no, I won't. Do you remember when Marco Rubio was saying like Trump used to chase him around on Air Force One and he'd pretend not to be asleep and stuff? So, yeah, does anyone remember this? When Marco Rubio was like, yeah, when I'm asleep, I like to cover my head and pretend I'm not asleep and that he won't work out. It's me, because Trump is always working. And it's like, motherfucker, he's always just asleep in the Oval Office. Do a Florida accent. Y'all, there's a snake in my boots. That's what they say in Florida.
Here, Global owns more radio stations, commercial radio stations.
Oh, by the way, this is Sangeeta Maiska, who was sacked after doing some pushback against an Israeli journalist. Let's have a listen. I can't wait to watch the full interview. I'm sure it'll be really interesting.
In this country than any other player in the market, and owns more radio stations across Europe than any other commercial player. So once these kind of contracts become embedded in the work ecosystem, not just at Global, but elsewhere, we need to start pushing back, right? This is about the future of journalism and the future of the truth. And we as journalists, and I went through this horrendous journey where I had to discover that because we don't have the First Amendment, we have no legal protection in this country. Nothing, zero, nada. And one of the things we can start with is making sure that these kind of agreements in perpetuity are banned, particularly when it comes to journalists and journalism, because it completely militates against the one thing that we're supposed to be doing, which is investigating the truth, exposing the truth, and helping maintain the quality of our democracy.
So sorry, she has an NDA in perpetuity, so she doesn't even fully talk about what happened then, I'm guessing. Okay. That kind of sucks. Okay, let's do this plane video of Trump. I mean, I'm sure some of you have seen this. Trump is now playing golf with an AN-T1Q1 SHORAD air defense system with an AN-MPQ-64 Sentinel radar next to him. So Trump, when he's playing golf, now has advanced military equipment defending him, which is just insane. And I think the point stands. But apparently Trump was like literally terrified of being assassinated. And apparently this one of Iran maybe assassinating him might have been true. I don't know if this is just theater for us to consume and start believing that he's starting to believe that he was actually under threat. But yeah, This is the story of what allegedly happened.
On an elaborate ruse to conceal the secret plane that President Trump used to fly out of Turkey last month. The Washington Post reports this tonight, saying, quote, an Iranian assassination threat against President Trump prompted an extraordinary operation in which he flew secretly from Turkey on an alternate military aircraft while the White House said...
If they're not going to show this, I will actually... I'll start off by just showing you... I'll start off by showing you exactly what this basically was. The BBC had a fine article about it. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So basically, Trump was involved in this elaborate ruse of switching planes where a catering truck pulled up to the plane, was lifted up, and then he was taken off it on the catering truck, hidden in it, and driven to a nearby C-32A aircraft, and then he was secretly reboarded on Air Force One, which is crazy.
Said he was aboard Air Force One. If you look back at the video from that day now, you can see how this clandestine mission played out. President Trump was seen boarding Air Force One at 8:24 p.m. local time on July 8th. But actually, according to the Post, and you can see here, Trump and several of his aides were secretly shuttled minutes later onto this airport catering truck, which was elevated and positioned at a door out of the view of the cameras. Now, the Post reports that the president was on that catering truck when it pulled away from Air Force One at 8:30 p.m., secretly bringing him to a smaller plane, an Air Force C-32A, making the Air Force One that everyone thought he was on a decoy.
Actually, you know what is kind of crazy? If they genuinely believed there was a threat to the lives of Donald Trump, do you think that they would have let all of these journalists get on Air Force One and just potentially be blown up? I mean, under this Trump administration, potentially, that they were trying to use them as human shields. But this is actually one of the most insane things I've ever heard, thinking about it, or putting it into perspective. Was the Trump administration willing to kill, like, hundreds of journalists?
That still had the reporters who thought the president had boarded that plane, and who you see boarding right here on the right, and some White House staff aboard. The Washington Post reports, and I quote, the maneuver meant that the president's actual location was concealed from the American public and many senior U.S. officials for hours. Air Force One then landed in the UK hours later. Now, it's still not clear, as the Post notes tonight, how the president was transported from that other...
Is anyone talking about that? Like, genuinely, is this guy just planning... Did this guy just have a plan to sacrifice hundreds of journalists? Like, well, not hundreds, but at least, like, 20.
Their secret plane back onto Air Force One after it landed. You see here the reporters captured the president getting off the plane that they thought he had just flown on with them to the UK, and he's seen coming down the stairs just before 11 p.m. After greeting American service members on the tarmac, Trump got on the new Air Force One jet. That's the one that was given to the president by the Qatari government, and then he flew back to Washington. Now, the plane that he's getting on here...
Oh, I don't think it was just that the food cart was smelling funky. I think that food cart was permanently unusable forever. After he'd been in there, all of the food became diseased and unusable.
Is not to be...
Boodly Bugs, don't worry at all. Thank you for being here, my go. I'm gonna hop off now, unfortunately.
Confused with the old Air...
Why are we even talking about it? Because it's such a bizarre story. I think it is just theatrics and nonsense. I don't think they genuinely would have killed this many journalists for a thing, but then again, he hates journalists, so I don't know.
Air Force One decoy, or the...
Because, like, I'm sorry, if Olivia Reingold is on that plane, fuck, the president should go down. Olivia Reingold should be smuggled off that first. Olivia Reingold is what is... She is the last protector of the highest journalistic standard in the US.
Military plane that he flew on secretly. But it was when the president got back on this plane to fly home to the US that he was asked by reporters why they had been told to lower their window shades on that first flight, which is extremely unusual and not typically something that happens for the press that sits on the right side of the plane, which is where that airport catering truck was, now that you look back at that other video. But given what we know now, given the pictures that you can see now, It makes what the president told reporters in that gaggle afterward all the more noteworthy.
You're saying there wasn't a security concern?
No. Why would they? Do you know why they had us close our window blinds? That was not usually. Well, yeah, because...
You know what's crazy is they can actually sort this audio out, because one time Fox News did it. Also, my goats over on Twitch, on a slow-ass news day, there is fucking 136 of you in there. You guys are, you know, a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can continue with Twitch because, you know, it might be affecting the YouTube viewers. And maybe it is, but there's 140 of you watching a chill news day when there's, like, nothing really major in the title, which is crazy. And also, of course, to my YouTube goats, my members up in there, my commenters, all of you who are here every day. It's just crazy that there are, like, so many of you just hopping up on this stream these days. Thank you so much.
You're, probably on a dangerous flight because of the sleazebags that we have to deal with.
So you think that Iran was possibly thinking of trying
Well, I mean, if they asked you to close your windows, probably they feel that way. They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it.
Were you aware of any credible threat by Iran against Air Force
Well, I have
One?
a threat all the time. I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go. Right?
But was there a specific
My God! Incredible!
Perhaps someday you want to change professions.
If I go, you go. Though the president wasn't actually on the same plane as the reporters who were asking him that question. And when they asked him about why they had to lower their own shades, the president said, well, he wasn't told to lower his. Well, he was on a secret plane. He was not on the same plane that those reporters and some White House staffers were flying on. Joining me tonight is one of the reporters who broke this story, Washington Post national security reporter.
Oh my God, what is going on with this guy's lighting? He looks like he's like an irradiated ghoul in Fallout or something. What's going on? Fix your lighting. You've become irradiated, my man.
Dan Lamothe. And Dan, I mean, this is a remarkable scoop and very thorough reporting here. Can you just kind of walk us through what you've learned here?
Sorry, miss, I'm struggling. I fell into a vat of FEV. I'm mutating into a super mutant right now. I'm sorry. I can't really talk. Imagine if Bro said that. That would be cooked.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most significant piece here is that for weeks now, the American public talking about the two Air Force One jets, the newer one from Qatar and the older one from the last couple decades of operations. And in reality, the president was on neither plane. This came to the Post in part because individuals thought that there was a hole in public understanding here. That
I've been bitten by a rad roach. It's bad. It's bad. Do you have any Rad-X? I'm in serious trouble.
Needed to be clarified.
I mean, it also, just in terms of how they came up with this, I mean, you know, a big question is going to be how unprecedented this is.
Sorry, I mean, maybe there's some, like, other reason that he hasn't got a bit of his ear. I do wonder, like, how does that happen? I don't want to mock him, but, like, what happened there? What happened there? You know, what's happened to his ear? How does that happen? It looks like a cat's bitten it or something. It kind of looks like a cat's ear, or Nev the bear, if any of you are familiar with who that is. Nev the bear was a bear who suffered from a similar tragedy, I believe. His ear was suffering as a result of. I don't actually know how Nev lost his ear, but this was Nev the bear. He was a sort of troublemaking bear that was mean to a gentleman called Mr. Prank, and he lost his ear.
The idea that they would take the president, not only put him on an alternate aircraft, but use a catering truck at the airport to do so.
Welcome to the Burger Reich.
Scion Wales, thank you for becoming a membership. It is always greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It is so incredibly kind. He survived an assassination attempt. Who? Him or Nev the bear? I don't know if Nev the bear was assassinated. I don't want to be mean, you know, some guy who probably lost his ear doing, like, fighting or something. But yeah, Scion Wales, thank you so much for supporting the channel as always. Because I pulled on it as a child and my parents thought that behavior was cute. Really? Damn, it's like sucking your thumb. You end up with crazy teeth if you be doing that. Don't be sucking on your thumb, guys. Okay, here's my advice for the day. Don't pull your ear. don't suck your thumb and do not eat a marmot. No matter how good that marmot is looking, you are gonna get the bubonic plague. Stay away from that shit, you know. Get away from that little marmot shit.
Yeah, you can see some creativity and ingenuity in how they were able to pull this off. And you know, I don't think there's any dispute here. I mean, Iran is a serious threat to the United States. Iran is a threat to senior U.S. officials that predates this administration. There is cause for concern. It's unclear at the moment what exactly triggered them to take these extreme measures. But either way, we've gone about a month now since it occurred, and until today, there was no public understanding of it.
Well, and you report that the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also boarded that C-32A plane.
Is that true? He lost a bit of his ear during the invasion of Grenada. Are you joking?
Separately, using external stairs, which means people could see him boarding it. And you write that this is part of an attempt to make the flight appear typical. That's a plane that typically other VIPs, cabinet members would fly on. Do we know who else, if anyone?
I'll tell you a new issue that I've developed in recent weeks, and I don't know what is causing it, even though it is hot. My hands are like constantly wet. Like they're just wet constantly. And I think it's because of, well, it is because of sweat. I'm not like dipping them in water or something, but I have no idea. No TikTok debates today. Not everyone loves the TikTok debates, and I kind of thought, oh, it's smart to do a mixture of stuff. So we'll have some debates tomorrow. If that's your shit, we'll be doing that probably between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. And then we'll be back to regular schedule. But this kind of stuff today is a bit different. We're doing like a bit of this chill stuff today. And it's been a good chill stream, you know, incredibly kind. But once again, any Twitchers over there, you have to. It is actually illegal to watch me without giving me a prime, I've heard. I don't know. I can't confirm that, but yes. Stop kirking it. I wish I was kirking it or something. They're just disgusting. That it's temperature for sure. I don't know it is. I think, to be honest, like, I think I have hyperhidrosis. Someone also complained about me stuttering while streaming, and I do apologize for that. I do try my best. Like, I compared myself talking to when we had Denims on the podcast, and I was like, my God, this lady is so much better at speaking and streaming than I am, and not saying like and and stuff like that, and I really want to get better at it. But I then remember, you know, I've been streaming a year, and I've just been blessed that first year has been so goated in terms of people supporting me.
One was on that secret plane with the president?
I can't speak at the moment with any specificity to who else was aboard that plane, but yes, Secretary Hegseth, I'm told,
Welcome to the Burger
went up the
Reich.
external stairs, deliberately so, as a part of a larger plan to make it look like he was the senior official on that plane.
By the way, I think this is the guy. Oh my God, Ali1312 Cat, thank you so much for becoming a member. Incredibly kind. Thank you for supporting the channel as always. That is what my goats be up to these days, becoming members. Yes. Come on, get in. Dan Lemothe. So this is seemingly the guy. He was in the Marine Corps, but there's no mention of his bloody ear. So, you know what? He was in the US military. I kind of feel slightly better about like kind of talking about this. He lost his ear. Why Brian Williams? Dan Lemothe wrote a prominent column. I don't know how he lost his ear. I don't know, but it was probably in the US military, so I have a lot less sympathy.
The C-32s that they used that day are commonly used. The vice president uses them. The president uses them on occasion domestically. I have flown on C-32s in the past with general officers. It's not uncommon to see VIPs on that plane. But obviously, when you have even the usage of an Air Force One call sign on a plane that the president is not aboard in that moment, that's remarkable.
Well, and
there's no information about what's going on with Dan Lemothe's ear.
That's actually a really good point, because typically the understanding is that any plane, any aircraft the president is on is Air Force One, or any helicopter that he's on, that's technically...
I quite like this lady, and I don't really care because, you know, she works for CNN, but she has such a strong jaw that she kind of looks like Patrick Schick, who is a Czech footballer from the Czech Republic. She just, like, the kind of jaw she has is just strong, and, you know, that's the kind of stuff going out of fashion in this kind of era. Like, Mussolini had a strong jaw, you know, and a lot of people like this guy. Mussolini ear. No, sorry, I don't know why I searched Mussolini ear. I could email him. Did Mussolini? Yes, Mussolini did have quite a strong chin, but not as strong as perhaps I imagined. He just looked very stern in every image. I do apologize for that.
Marine one, but you said that the one that he was actually flying on had a nondescript call sign, while the other plane that everyone thinks he's on is still considered and still the call sign of Air Force One.
Yes, that's right. And then as we kind of backtrack some of the publicly available flight tracker data on this, you have the Newark jet from Qatar that landed with a...
Stop talking about Curious George. I'm moving like Curious Chris this stream. I'm trying to find out what's happening to his ear.
Relatively nondescript call sign a couple hours in advance in Britain. The C-32 simply did not show up in flight tracker data at all, at least in the public.
Oh! He got his ear bit by Lindsey Graham. Ooh! I love your little ear. I just want to nibble on that other ear, give you 2 ears like that. And then maybe I can show you how we blow up children in Iran.
Locally available information we had. And the Air Force One jet landed.
I've never considered banning you before, Jules, but today is probably the first time I've ever considered banning you after you start talking about fucking having AC. I'm here with that, but have a nice day, I guess.
With the Air Force One call sign, despite the president not being aboard.
Hi, I'm back from hell, and I'm very interested in having a look at that ear of yours. I want an itty-bitty nibble on that ear of yours. I want to take you to Disneyland, and I can show you my bubble wand at Epcot. Ooh, that would be so lovely. My sister Darlene's holding the fort for me, so I got time to spend with you, honey.
There's a serious shell game of sorts that occurred there, to keep the president safe.
And were there White House staffers who were on the decoy Air Force One that also thought that the president was still on that plane?
My understanding is there was some White House staff that did not know. This was kept close hold in a small group. And obviously the White House press corps, which reported not only in that day, but in the subsequent weeks as well, that the president had traveled on the quote unquote old Air Force One. That's simply not the case, we're told.
You know, my colleague Barbara Starr, who is a veteran Pentagon correspondent, obviously you know her well, she made a good point about the threat level and what this speaks to, of how concerned that U.S. officials were about this. And she says this suggests that the U.S. believed the threat to the president was not just imminent.
Do I think Noam... Oh, you mean Noam Hamburger, not Noam Chomsky. I mean, they're downstairs, yes. So maybe downstairs there's some sort of party downstairs. Both of them together are downstairs, and maybe he's like, Mr. Hamburger, you're from Israel. I always loved Israel. My sister's holding down the fort, but I got someone to go see. I got a nice boy. He's a journalist, and he's missing an ear. I'm gonna help him with the other one too.
Perhaps, but there was concerns about growing Iranian precision and targeting and advanced accuracy at range and altitude. She says if the intel was that credible, then was everything in place to carry out an attack? And if so, what has happened since to disrupt that capability? I mean, she's asking the question about just how serious this threat to the president really was.
Yeah, I don't have great clarity on what the specifics are that triggered them to take these measures, but I would note that as technology advances, as we have seen Iran and a number of other...
Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop.
Other countries take on, aerial drones and a variety of other kind of munitions.
Okay, I've had enough of hearing from this guy. I'll stop with the Lindsey Graham impressions. Okay, guys, on that note, I just gave you art to think about and ruminate on for the rest of the day. I'm not going to be live now because I'm going to stop streaming. I'm going to go chill, have a big plate of eggs, probably 3 eggs, a slice of toast, a little bit of butter on the toast, and I'll probably enjoy a yogurt after that because that's the kind of stuff I get up to when I'm not streaming. I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for being kind. I thank you all for being nice. I thank you all for subscribing, becoming members, supporting, following on Twitch, subscribing on YouTube, being friendly and loving and enjoying my Lindsey Graham commentary. But that will be the end of the stream for the day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. There'll be a little bit of dates at the start. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. I'm going to enjoy some eggs. That's an okay thing to say. That's an okay thing to say. It's not nasty, it's not rude, it's not cheeky. It might be something that Lindsey did. We don't know. He enjoyed some Israeli indigenous eggs. Israel. But yeah, thank you all, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of the evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, shit, yeah. Wait, can you, /raid? Hold on. Guys, if you're on YouTube, there's nothing of note still going on. What do I do? /raid Aaron and now? Oh wait, they have follower or subscriber only, so I don't know if I can raid Aaron and now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can raid /raid. What is this? Oh, wait, no. Wait, shit. No, wait. I don't want to... Sorry. Oh, shit. Wait, I've accidentally requested to stream with... Okay, raid now. Okay, perfect, right. There you go. Okay, guys, end of stream. See you later.